Each generation has a slugger who defines an era, from the splendid Splinter to the Mick, from the Say Hey Kid to the Home Run King. Tonight, two of the most talented young hitters in the game are on display. Bound by a friendship that blossomed in the summer of 1999, they share one common goal: to become the most accomplished hitter of their time. 22-year-old Venezuelan Miguel Cabrera. A drive to right field. Looking is up and away. A two-run home run. Miguel Cabrera. And the 25-year-old Dominican Albert Pujols.
Pujols rips one deep left field. Cardinals lead. You can smell it coming here in St. Louis.
Poised, powerful, and full of promise and optimism as they lead their teams towards October and postseason play. Tonight from South Florida, it's ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, built by the Home Depot and inside Dolphin Stadium. The Marlins believe they're going to be fighting for the top sports story in Miami with their football brethren come October. Fighting precisely describes the scrum that is the National League wild card race. While St. Louis sports a huge lead in the Central, the Marlins have the wild card in their hands right now. They're tied for first with the Phillies, while also closing in on Atlanta's division lead. The Astros, Mets, and Washington all stacked up within a game and a half, setting up a September to remember. Welcome to Miami, everybody. Dave O'Brien, along with my partner, Jeff Brantley. And Cowboy, you talk about that big lead the Cardinals have. Well, they've done that in the Central, largely on the strength of that excellent offense led by the MVP candidate, Albert Pujols, and terrific pitching. But if you talk to the pitching staff, up and down to a man, they think their MVP might be the young 23-year-old catcher, the man behind the plate, Yadier Molina.
Well, there's been so much made about the big-name injuries on this ball club. I think Molina has been kind of forgotten almost, but he hasn't been forgotten by the starting staff or the bullpen of these St. Louis Cardinals. They have done a tremendous job teaching this young man early in the season, and now he has taken all of that, put it together, and he is the game caller and the leader of this pitching staff, and he's done a tremendous job putting them on their way to being where they are right now.
And if the other team gets a man on, he picks him off. He has 8 pickoffs. That is the most in the majors behind the plate. Let's focus on the Marlins and Carlos Delgado. They spent a lot of money to free him up via the free agent market and bring him here to Miami. He's starting to deliver. Big triple last night to come from behind win. Might he be the difference maker for them come October?
Well, when you talk about a veteran guy and a veteran guy in a lineup that has a lot of ability, this is a thumper that can hit the ball out of any part of any ballpark. And when you talk about a veteran guy in this lineup for this ball club, I think he has now created a sense of urgency for this ball club. And right now, with the way things are in the wild card, Florida needs that sense of urgency to move forward.
All right, so the Cardinals and the Marlins hooking up tonight here in South Florida. They are eyeing each other as they may be eyeing each other come playoff time. Next on Wednesday Night Baseball. We are set for baseball. This may be a matchup we'll see in October. And on this Wednesday night, it's the Cardinals visiting the Florida Marlins. Tony La Russa bringing in his Redbirds, and among managers, he is third on the all-time list in victories. Look at that, 2,198 wins. But a loss here last night. Here's a look at his starting lineup. No Larry Walker or Jim Edmonds. They're resting. Scott Rowland out for the year. But they do have Albert Pujols, and right now, put to a vote, he'd probably win the MVP.
I would say that you are definitely correct in that assumption, even though we don't have a vote at this point. The one thing that you can always guarantee, regardless of the score in the ball game, is you are going to get a tremendous AB from Albert Pujols. Never one to give away an AB at any time in the ball game, regardless of whether the team is up by 10 or down by 10. He is playing to beat you one-on-one to a man with the pitcher that's standing on the mound.
Well, it'll be a great treat when we see him up against this young left-hander, Jason Vargas. 5-1 with an ERA of 3.16. 22 years old, the rookie gunning for his third consecutive win.
This guy is some kind of exciting to watch pitch. You would never know that he's a rookie in a pennant race coming up and doing what he has done. This guy is afraid of nothing, challenging the strike zone regardless of what hitter stands at the plate. And when you see him really start to get going, you're going to see a kid that's got some tremendous confidence, tremendous adrenaline, and ready to go out and pick up another win for these Florida Marlins.
It's a big ballpark. It goes 434 to the angle in left center, and defensively here are the Marlins, Cabrera, Pierre, and Encarnacion. Encarnacion with a cannon there in right field. We're going to focus on Alex Gonzalez, and especially with Cesar Izturis out with his back troubles. He's had kind of a balky year. It might be the year Gonzalez wins his first Gold Glove.
Well, Gonzalez does have a lot of errors playing at shortstop, but I believe it's because he gets to more balls than just about any shortstop in the game. This guy makes plays that you don't see other shortstops make, and I think that is the reason that if he does win the Gold Glove, it'll be for that chance.
Well, here's the shortstop of the St. Louis Cardinals, David Eckstein, hitting .280. And Vargas ready for his first pitch. The left-hander drills a strike, and we are underway on a muggy night here at the end of August, about to turn into September. And this wild card race is going to be something to see over the coming month. Here's the 0-1 pitch, popped him up. On the infield, Luis Castillo is there, and the second baseman, who has a couple of Gold Gloves, makes the catch for out number 1. And that'll bring up the center fielder, So Taguchi.
When you watch Vargas stand out on the field, he doesn't look like a huge pitcher, as most of the other pitchers are that are on this staff. But the reason that he gets the velocity and he has the ability to throw the way that he does are those legs that he's got. They're almost tree trunk size for this kid that goes out and pitches and challenges the strike zone like we were saying earlier.
He's 6 feet. That's it. 215 pounds, however, so he is compact and powerfully built, only 22 years old, from Seattle, and facing Taguchi, a .294 hitter with 7 home runs. It's had a very solid season for Tony La Russa, as that one misses for a ball. Jason Vargas, drafted by the Twins originally in the 43rd round out of very pleasant sounding Apple Valley, California high school, but he went to LSU instead. Got quite a bit of playing time there. Played some first base. He also did some DHing while in college. He can flat swing the bat as well. But he would later transfer. Former Major League infielder Randy Velarde is his uncle. 3 balls and 1 strike on Taguchi. Pujols in the on-deck circle, just getting started here in South Florida. Last night, the Marlins scored 3 times in the bottom of the 8th to overcome a 5-4 deficit. That one wrapped into left field for a base hit. So Taguchi continues to swing a very good bat, very reliable out of the 2-hole for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he's on in front of Pujols.
This is the one thing that the Cardinals have been able to do, in talking with hitting coach Hal McRae, when you can have your replacement players or your secondary players have as many as 200 ABs coming into September, it only bodes that much better for manager Tony La Russa, because these hitters are not normally out there playing and getting 200 ABs. Now when they have a chance to hit during this month of September or into the postseason, they have confidence and they feel good about their swings.
Pujols with another incredible season for himself, takes a strike. Leading the major leagues with 107 runs scored. He's 2nd in total bases, 3rd in the National League in hits. He's in the top 5 in the National League in all 3 Triple Crown categories. So for all the talk about Derek Lee winning the Triple Crown, perhaps making a serious run at it, well, Albert is right there with him, and he's only struck out 56 times all season.
2 hours before game time, I'm walking down the tunnel into the Cardinals locker room, and guess who I see in the cage hitting off a tee? That man right there, Albert Pujols, still practicing his wares, and he's doing as well as you could possibly hope to do in the National League. Hard work and determination, can't take that away from that man.
Can't take these numbers away from Albert Pujols. Look at that consistency. Swing and a foul tip to the mid, and Vargas gets him in their first encounter tonight. He strikes him out, and they're at 2 down in the first inning.
I'm telling you, this kid has some tremendous moxie, and you'll see the excitement on the faces of this ball club, the Florida Marlins, when he takes the mound. He is challenging every hitter that comes to the plate. He's not looking at the number or the name on the back of the jersey. He's looking at that sign, fastball, and here it comes, Albert.
That'll bring up Yadier Molina, the catcher, batting cleanup tonight, as he takes a good breaking ball in there for strike. Vargas has that. He also has an excellent changeup and fastball, and he is certainly in the strike zone. The Marlins called him up to the majors on July 14th, initially using him out of the bullpen, but as a starter, he's already tossed his first career complete game. He did that against the Dodgers on August 21st, allowing just 6 hits and 1 run.
And the only way that you can do that is pitching to contact, getting out there on the mound, getting the sign, working rather quickly so your infielders and outfielders don't go to sleep, and you throw a lot of strikes early in the ball game.
Molina fouls that one back. You were talking about how focused Vargas is for one so young. And Dave Van Horn, the fine radio voice of the Florida Marlins, asked him after his start recently at Wrigley Field, first career start there. He said, how did you enjoy the splendor of the friendly confines? Magnificent place to pitch. He said, I really can't tell you until tomorrow when I have the night off and I have a chance to gather it in, because I didn't notice a darn thing other than the hitter and the glove. Just low for ball, and Molina took it to make it 2-2.
Well, this is actually the first time I've had a chance to watch Vargas pitch live, but many times on the television, up close, being able to watch just like you are at home. This kid comes to win, not just to play. He comes to win.
2-2. Poke foul by Molina. Mark Rudzelanek, who's had an excellent season for himself in the on-deck circle. Runner at first, 2 down.
And you know, Dave, you just got finished saying Yadier Molina batting cleanup tonight. We talked about how well he does with the pitchers. This is a guy that batted 7th or 8th early in this season, and now he has worked himself to a point where all of the starting pitchers trust him behind the plate, and now Tony La Russa trusts him batting 4th in this powerful lineup.
Runner goes and a ground ball to short. Gonzalez with the pick and up and over in plenty of time. Oh, dropped by Delgado, and everyone's going to be safe here. So a mistake by Carlos Delgado on a rather lazy play there at first base. He's been accused of that from time to time. Vargas ought to be out of the inning. Instead, he's going to have to get an extra out here.
Well, these are things that you look at from this Florida Marlin ball club, and it's almost been this way all year long for them. Never seemed to put forth a sense of urgency. This was a club that we really thought would take off in the National League and replace the Atlanta Braves as the star club of the National League East, and they have yet to do that, even though they have the talent to do so.
So Delgado with a drop, inning still alive for Grudzelanek. That's the 12th error of the season for the first baseman, Delgado, whose bat is certainly the loudest part of his game, but 12 errors is far too many, not even into September, for a big league first baseman. So he has some atoning to do. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Blew it right by Grudzelanek, even though it was 87. Good late movement.
And let's remember this. No facial expression whatsoever from Jason Vargas when the play was not made, even though that was a very routine play and he made a great pitch on the number 4 hitter Molina. He comes right back and gets the count to 0-2 here against Mark Grudzelanek.
Grudzelanek hitting .302 with 8 home runs. It's a high fly ball into center field, but plenty of room for Pierre, and Juan Pierre will clinch it for the out. So Vargas without a single facial expression, indeed, pitching around the error by his first baseman. And the Marlins are coming up in a scoreless game in the first. Well, Delgado here last night, and a little bit of a goat in the first inning making the error, but Vargas pitched right through that without difficulty. And here's a look at the starting lineup now for the Florida Marlins. Right now tied for the wild card lead in the National League with the Phillies. It'll be Juan Pierre in center field. Last night he picked up the 1,000th hit of his major league career. Hitting .265, he really drives the offense, setting it up for the big bats.
And he started out really slow this year with some leg problems coming out of spring training. Normally he is first in bunt hits and first in steals, but early this season it was really difficult for him to be able to run at all, having to get out onto the field and not being able to play every single day in center field because of the stress on his leg.
Now time for the league with 46 thefts. We'll see how he does tonight against the right-hander Jeff Suppan, who's 12-10.
Well, the one thing you can count on with Suppan is he's going to throw a lot of strikes, change a lot of speeds, try to keep these Florida Marlins off balance, and try to get his team in the dugout as soon as possible.
You know, sooner or later Pierre is going to look to drop down the bunt. He's probably the finest bunter in the big leagues. Now, over the course of his major league career, 83% of his hits have been singles. It's the second highest percentage among all active major leaguers. Pujols can't get to him, and he's going right by him. Pierre is on with the hits. Right away putting that outstanding speed to use to get that single against Suppan.
Well, You could see from Pierre's point of view that Nunez was playing way in on the grass. No sense to try to bunt it down the third base line. Grzelcyk playing deep at second base. All he's got to do is get the ball past Suppan on the mound, and once he does that, Pujols, he figures I can outrun Pujols to the bag, and that's exactly what he does.
One of those rare bunters. Everybody knows he's going to bunt. He's probably going to look to drop one down every single at bat, but you still can't defense it because he's uncanny with his ability to spot that bunt on the infield. Luis Castillo hitting .301, playing with a sore quad these days as he takes a strike. Although usually Castillo is playing banged up to some extent. Now look at that beautiful bunt.
And the thing about it, when you talk with Juan Pierre, this is not something that just happens by chance. When he's out here early, he comes to the ballpark, bunting the ball down the third baseline. He takes probably 25 each day, 10 to 15 one way, 10 to 15 the other, just to make sure that he's got the feel of the bat and the feel of the grass or the infield, regardless of whether it has rained here early in the day or not.
Checking that slope down the baselines, 46 stolen bases. He tied with Jose Reyes, the speedy New York Met, atop the National League. 21 bunt hits now for Juan Pierre. We'll see if he looks to run on Suppan and Molina, however. He's holding here. Put in play to short. Eckstein with it. Shovels to Grzelcyk, and the double play is turned. 6-4-3. So there goes the good work of Juan Pierre. And a little light rain starting to fall here in South Florida. That would mean it's a typical August night in this part of the world. For the Cardinals defensively, Nunez, Eckstein, Grzelcyk, and Pujols on the infield. Molina doing the catching. Grzelcyk has had a terrific year, and he is a Gold Glove candidate.
Well, he definitely is, and this is the best year that Grzelcyk has had in the infield. A lot of it has to do with the fact that he's been healthy all year long. Tony La Russa says this is the time for this man to win the Gold Glove, and we just saw an exhibit of what he's been able to do so far this year, working with a totally new double play partner in David Eckstein, coming from the other league, the American League, and absolutely playing tremendous defense, both of them up the middle for these St. Louis Cardinals.
Miguel Cabrera, a .332 hitter with 28 homers and 94 runs batted in. Just turned 22 in April. In the last 50 seasons, only 4 players under the age of 23 at the end of the season hit .325 or higher. The names are Hank Aaron, Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, and Albert Pujols. And Cabrera, with his good buddy Pujols, is now in that class.
Just watching Cabrera and the maturity that he continues to have over a period of time, you just wonder how good is this kid going to get as time moves along. We wondered that the same way with Pujols when he first broke into the big leagues. Is this guy too good to be true? Well, obviously we've seen no, he is not. He is better than expected, and I've got to assume the same from Miguel Cabrera as he gets older.
The 3-1 pitch. It's sharply knocked down by Nunez. Scoops it up, has time, and gets it. So only 3 batters come up against Suppan, although he gives up the bunt hit. He throws only 9 pitches, and we're scoreless after 1 in Florida. Welcome back to South Florida. Gentle light rain has been off and on here over the last 10 or 15 minutes, but no score after 1. Jeff Brantley, Dave O'Brien with you on Wednesday Night Baseball. The Marlins tied for the wild card lead with the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are underway against the Mets. They're scoreless in the first inning as we speak. As Scott Seabold gets in against Jason Vargas, who gave up a hit and also pitched around the error by first baseman Delgado in the opening inning. So the Cardinals threatened but stranded 2. Seabold swinging and pops it up very high and foul ground off third. Mike Lowell there with Trainer, the catcher. Lowell will take it. Been a very tough year for Mike Lowell. Recently benched for 5 games, got back into the lineup, had a hit last night, looked a little better at the plate. Open question as to whether or not they need Mike Lowell to be as good as he's been the last few years for the Marlins to win the wild card. Perhaps they don't with the year Cabrera is having, and with Delgado starting to heat up and Juan Pierre really going the way he can. But they certainly need him better come October if they're going to be in it than Mike Lowell has been in 2005. He's just had a miserable time.
Well, he's had a difficult year at the plate, but the one thing that you can count on with Mike Lowell is the fact that he's going to play tremendous defense at third base, and that is one thing from a pitcher standpoint you definitely want to have him on that infield, because in my mind he is the leader on the infield for these Florida Marlins.
He has not made an error in his last 25 games, in fact. Hector Luna getting the start in right field as Larry Walker and Jim Edmonds, left-hand hitters out of the St. Louis lineup tonight, deciding not to test the young southpaw Jason Vargas. Luna, a .282 hitter, no homers and 6 runs batted in.
And I think this is the one thing that Tony La Russa has the luxury of being able to do that maybe no other National League manager besides Bobby Cox in Atlanta has the confidence to be able to bring these young players off the bench and put them into the lineup and expect them to perform with some great consistency. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, yes, the Cardinals have had injuries early in the season. They've had to replace Reggie Sanders. They've had to replace Larry Walker at times. Scott Rowland obviously being replaced for the remainder of the season with Nunez at third base. But all of their replacements have contributed beyond what I think anyone expected in the Cardinals uniform.
They've done a great job. It's been a total team effort. A swing and a miss for strike 3, and Vargas collects his second K despite the rainy conditions as he fans Hector Luna, and there are 2 down. Abraham Nunez coming up next, and he's another one of those Cardinals, probably first on the list of the replacements who have done the best job, because when you have to sub for Scott Rowland and you hit .295 and play good defense, you have really helped out the Cardinal cause, and that's Abraham Nunez taking up high for ball 1.
Dave, I think this is the best that Abraham Nunez has ever played in his career, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he has always had tremendous tools. There's always been a lot expected of him, especially when he was in that Pirates uniform. But now, playing third base, it's nothing more than a reaction position. The ball's hit, you put the glove on the baseball. All you have to do is react. There's not a whole lot of pressure on this young man to do anything offensively because there are so many offensive players that surround him. All he has to do is fit in and not have to do too much.
Hit right to the feet of Gonzalez. He hoovers that one up, and Delgado makes the play, and that's it. 1, 2, 3, they go. We'll get a look at Carlos Delgado at the bat in just a moment and his 26 home runs. We come back to Miami again as we get the home half of the second inning underway. Well, you play in South Florida. You play for the Florida Marlins. You get used to swinging through the raindrops, don't you?
You get used to pitching in it and swinging through it and catching the baseball and making sure you get a good grip. Look at the shift they have put on for Delgado on this right side. Eckstein playing a normal second base. Grudzielanek playing rover. And at first base, Pujols is in his normal spot, all playing along the grass. You think they're playing him in the pool? There's no doubt about it.
Looks like the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse over there on the right side. Big swing and a miss by Delgado, who rarely gets cheated. 26 homers, 293, 95 runs batted in. In the 8th inning last night, a big triple and a very nice comeback for the Marlins against St. Louis.
What's amazing about this shift is this just shows you what kind of information you get from scouting reports. Delgado's scouting report says ground ball pulled on the infield, and in the outfield, let's play him straight up because he has power to all fields, as we saw right there as he drove in the winning run last night.
The Marlins don't win too often in their last at bat, but it's only happened on 8 occasions. That's the fewest in the National League. But rallying last night to win it 5-4, well, from a 5-4 deficit to win the game 7-6. And Delgado right in the middle of that. Base is empty as he starts the inning, and it's inside under the hands. Juan Encarnacion and then Mike Lowell to follow. After the game ends tonight, the grounds crew here is really going to be tested. They'll convert the diamond into a football field, because the Dolphins will play the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow right inside this ballpark. Rattled foul. And when that game ends, they're going to convert the field back to baseball for a weekend series against the New York Mets.
And that is a lot of pressure on turf management for the ground crew here in South Florida. I can remember playing at Candlestick Park. They all had to do the same thing when the 49ers would come into play, when we had games that demanded the field to be changed over and over.
Dan Marino has his name on this place, and that is ball 4 to Carlos Delgado. As as he takes the first walk issued by Jeff Suppan. It'll bring up Juan Encarnacion. Right now we throw it to David Amber for the 30 at 30 sports update. David.
Tonight on SportsCenter, the effects of Hurricane Katrina still being felt, of course, across Louisiana. Thousands evacuated from the Superdome for the Astrodome, and the Saints will practice in San Antonio following tomorrow's game at Oakland. As well, ESPN.com's Mark Stein is reporting that free agent Michael Finley is signed with the world champion San Antonio Spurs. 32-year-old averaged 16 points per game. These are stories you can see on SportsCenter, 11 Eastern. Of course, ESPN News has those stories right now. Guys?
All right, David, thank you very much. Juan Encarnacion to dig in here against Jeff Suppan, although he's not very fond of that action. 2 for 23 lifetime against the right-hander. Encarnacion has a lower average against only 2 pitchers that he has faced at least 20 times. Kevin Millwood and Ben Sheets. Chop foul.
And you've got to believe that somewhere in the back of his mind, Jeff Suppan knows that without a doubt. The last thing that you want to do when you get behind Carlos Delgado is give him a cheap one in there and let him hit the ball out of left field. He worked him very hard, ended up walking him, but knowing who's on deck, one good pitch right here, especially with this double play combo of Eckstein and Gredzalonic, he could have 2 outs quick.
In there for strike 3 on the inside corner. Encarnacion has seen that act before. Suppan gets him again. Now 2 for 24.
Away, 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 and then he throws him the paralyzer right on the inside corner. You can see from Encarnacion's reaction, he was looking for that breaking ball away.
He was looking for a break, all right. Didn't come his way against Suppan. So with a man out and a man on, here's Mike Lowell hitting just .238 and trying to salvage his season as we move towards September. Here on the final day of August, just 6 home runs in 490 plate appearances. You've seen him all season long, and JB, either in the Baseball Tonight studio or in person. What has been the big problem with a very good major league hitter?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that when the pitch comes out of the pitcher's hand, Lowell is moving towards the pitcher. He's become a little bit too aggressive, sitting in this slump for way longer than anybody ever expected him to. And so what he's done is he's actually changed his approach a little bit. And everybody, I'm sure, from the governor's office in Florida all the way down to any hitting coach that he's ever known, has been giving him some kind of advice on how to stand at the plate. And sometimes, Dave, that is the worst advice that you can get. Sometimes no advice works better.
Fouled away. The count 0-2, and it seems like every day that Mikey Lowell has rolled out of bed since the season got underway and came to the ballpark to swing, the count has been 0-2 in every single count. I'm sure he feels that way.
Well, from a pitcher standpoint, you've got to know that he's struggling. He doesn't have it together. You want to get ahead in the count as soon as possible because he's not seeing the ball well. That's obvious because of the pitches that he swings at.
Trying to hold up on a pitch into the dirt. They do appeal, but no swing, says Chris Guccione. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. The thing that Lowell has obviously, aside from the low batting average, really scuffled with is the power number, just 6 home runs. The Marlins as a team have only hit 8 home runs in their last 25 games, and all of those by Delgado and Cabrera. Nobody else has hit even 1.
Well, when you look at this lineup, I don't think that it's constructed to do a lot of home run hitting as much as it is to steal bases and put the ball in play. Mike Lowell is a guy that once he gets his rhythm down, or at least where he feels some semblance of comfortability at the plate, he can definitely hit the ball out of the ballpark. I don't think that the power has anything to do with it as much as it is the unsurety of how he's standing at the plate, the rhythm. Are my hands right? Are my feet in the right place? You've got to start to feel good before you can start to hit the ball out of the ballpark or in the gaps at all.
Well, he's hit 83 home runs over the last 3 years. But it has been such a difficult task for Mike Lowell, and in a ballpark where usually he feasts on that short wall, that fence down the left field line. It's 330 down into the corner. But off the American League scoreboard, you have that little cutout box down there. That's been Lowell's corner for the last 3 years.
But the problem with that, though, Dave, is when you start moving forward towards the pitcher, your hands start to drag and you can't get the bat to the baseball. You can't pull the ball with any power whatsoever.
No power here as he pops it up to short right. Out goes Grunzelenik. In comes Luna. Luna makes the catch. 2 down, and the Marlins second. Florida with a record of 17-13 here in the month of August. Boy, Mike Lowell feels like the month of August cannot close quickly enough. Maybe September will bring sunnier days for the third baseman.
Well, you can see him right here as the foot goes up. The hips start to move forward, and that is not your typical Mike Lowell swing. Usually he's on that back leg, really keeping his weight back and his hands shoot through and hips open at the same time. We are not seeing that from Mike Lowell tonight in that first AB, and we really haven't seen it all year long.
That brings up Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop, hitting out of the 7 spot. And he pops that one back out of play, hitting .262 with 5 home runs. Although Gonzalez with a memorable World Series home run, hitting just .204 in the month of August. 1 hit in his last 15 at-bats. Over the last 18 at-bats, hitting 18 games, hitting .156. The Marlins know the reputation of Yadier Molina, so the leads have been pretty short. A couple of men who have reached so far here tonight. Still a light rain falling here, sprinkling the diamond. Here's the 0-1 pitch from Suppan. Right through there.
Dave, when you see guys struggling as we've seen Mike Lowell this year, when you're standing on that pitcher's mound, you can see it in their eyes, and then immediately you go into attack mode. What I'd like to see from Mike Lowell is forget about who's on the mound, forget about what kind of pitches he throws. If the first pitch is close, swing. That's the best way to get out of that thing.
Fouled off by Gonzalez. Nothing in 2 out. We're scoreless in the second inning.
Because at least if you're swinging at the first pitch and you're being aggressive, at least the pitcher has to put it in the back of his mind. Hey, he might take a jump on this first ball. I've got to make a quality pitch, and then you start to get a little bit of tide moving your way instead of the other way. Because right now, it's ebb tide for him.
You can see it written on his face too. Unfortunately, he's been that way for many months this season. You can see the anguish written all over Mike Lowell's face.
Well, it's definitely frustrating, because in the beginning of the season you think, well, I'll break out of this here in a month or so and everything will start to go my way. Well, it's September and that's nothing going his way.
Gonzalez chasing a pitch down into the dirt to strike out. Suppan gets him. 1 man left. Still nothing here. Wednesday night, and Jeff Suppan, the pitcher, sending Juan Pierre back into the alley, and he's there to make the catch. But Suppan, no slouch on that swing. Just a 174 hitter coming in, but he sent Pierre back into that alley through the raindrops to make a long-running catch. 1 pitch, 1 out by Jason Vargas.
That is Vargas to a T right there, regardless of who's standing at the plate. It doesn't matter if it's the pitcher or not. He wants you to swing the bat right off the get-go.
It's a smart way to use this ballpark, and that's what Vargas is being noted for early. Aside from the fact he has excellent command of 3 pitches, he is a smart kid, very baseball savvy.
Fastball tailing away from these right-handers. Once he gets ahead, you're going to see that backdoor slider as we saw earlier. I think it was when he had Pujols with 2 strikes right before he went to the high fastball.
Yeah, struck out Pujols on a high heat. But in this ballpark, as he drops in a strike on Eckstein.
And that was it right there. That backdoor breaking ball. It starts off the plate and breaks right back to the corner. Very difficult for a right-hander to judge as to whether he should swing or take that pitch.
Eckstein, a very tough man to strike out, pops this one up, twisting back out of play. In this ballpark, let them hit it. It's 404 out there to center field, 434 to left center, out to that Bermuda Triangle. Talking 363 to right center field, 345 down the right field line.
Now, from a pitcher's standpoint, you don't want to say let them hit it. You want to say make them hit it.
Make them hit it.
Make them hit it. Because if I say let them hit it, then I'm less aggressive and not as apt to throw as many qualities.
Oh, this one rocketed deep along that foul line, and it is gone. A home run for little David Eckstein.
Wow.
Number 7. Well, you know, make them hit it in the air, but not that far, maybe.
Not to the point where you said Mike Lowell loves to hit. Wow.
Vargas had yet to give up a home run in his major league career. And who gets him? David Eckstein gets him on an 0-2 pitch.
Well, he comes with a fastball away for strike, goes with that slider, gets the ball inside. This pitch just doesn't get where he wants it to go. The ball stays up and out over the plate, and it's see you later.
A couple of very noteworthy home runs by Eckstein recently. He gets Vargas for Jason's first ever. And the other day he had the fake bunt and turned and then knocked it out of the ballpark, which you almost never see, let alone a guy who stands 5'7" and is not noted as a home run hitter.
See them trying to get the ball inside. Trainer sets up down and in, trying to get back in on Eckstein. He just doesn't get the ball quite there.
So a walk-off grand slam among his home runs, and the first home run ever allowed by the lefty Jason Vargas here in South Florida tonight. And so it is 1-0 St. Louis. So Taguchi 1 for 1. He had a base hit in the first inning and was stranded out there. Vargas pumping in a fastball for strike.
You could see hitting coach Hal McRae talking with David Eckstein in the dugout right after the home run, and the motion that he was making was make sure that you don't let him get you with that changeup the next time you come to the plate. That is what makes Hal McRae so good as a hitting coach, is not only does he help you with your hitting mechanics, he also helps you during the ball game to help you be able to look for pitches or give you some ideas about what the pitcher will do with you the next time that you come to the plate.
Eckstein hit it in the perfect spot in this ballpark. The Marlins don't give up many home runs. In fact, as a staff, just 89. That's the lowest in the National League. Eckstein's ball traveled 353 feet. But Vargas doesn't know what that feeling is like, giving up a home run 45 innings into his major league career. So you look at Dontrell Willis, the Cy Young candidate. None of them give up home runs. This one blew foul back out of play. So 7 career starts, and Vargas finally gets touched up.
You see Vargas there after the home run from Eckstein, 3 consecutive balls. It looked like he was starting to get away from himself both mentally and mechanically. But as soon as he gets to 3-0, he's right back after Taguchi with 3 straight strikes, trying to make him put the ball in play.
3-2 pitch lofted toward right, fairly well hit, but Encarnacion with plenty of room behind him. 2 down. And that'll bring up Albert Pujols, and this was a rather delicious matchup in the first inning. The 22-year-old against Albert Pujols, who is a salty veteran, all of 25, but perhaps the premier all-around hitter in baseball today, against the young southpaw, and Vargas whiffed him on a high fastball. 99 runs batted in for Pujols as he steps up to hit here. The fewest RBIs Albert has ever had in a complete season is 123.
That is absolutely
That was
amazing.
an off year for Albert in the RBI column. As he fouls that one back, and the count 1-1. Now look at the first several seasons for Albert Pujols in the big leagues. First 4 years, 500 plus RBIs. DiMaggio 558. The splendid Splinter 515, and there's Albert from 2001 to 2004. Special company.
You can see Jason Vargas really moving the ball around. Backdoor slider to start, comes back in with a fastball that Pujols fouls off, up and away with a fastball, trying to continue to change speeds and change sides of the plate. And to a hitter like Pujols, that's what you've got to do.
Vargas pushes off the rubber, and the 2-1 is way outside. When you were on the hill, particularly against hitters you hadn't seen very much in your career, and this is very early obviously in Vargas's matchup with Albert Pujols, a couple of at-bats in, but did you notice hitters making adjustments in the box?
No doubt about it. And you have to make adjustments with them, because if you don't, they're going to kill you. Big league hitters will remember what you got them out with the first time. If you if you get him out, let's say I got out Pujols the first time I faced him with a breaking ball. The next time up, I guarantee you he's going to remember I got him out with a breaking ball. He may be the greatest fastball hitter of all time, but somewhere in the course of that second at-bat, I've got to make him think about a fastball somewhere on the inside part of the plate so that he can't just lean out there and lean on my breaking ball.
Fastball again. This one Pujols gets a piece of and fouls it back.
Great hitters do not forget about what pitches that you get them out with. They also don't forget about which pitches that they hit hard, because they know from a pitcher standpoint, if I take you deep on a fastball away the other way, you're not going back out there for a while.
The payoff pitch from the lefty, and it's fouled back again. Great battle going here between the MVP candidate and indeed a Triple Crown candidate in Albert Pujols. We've seen 7 pitches so far, fighting his way against Jason Vargas.
There's 2 pitches now that Pujols has had in the middle of the plate, but they've ran just enough to the outside corner that it's caused him to pull off them just slightly and foul them straight back.
Swinging a high fly ball down the left field line. Cabrera drifting back. He is at the wall, backing up, leaps, went for it, bobbled it. It's off his glove, and racing into second base, Albert Pujols with the double. Pujols has himself a 2-base hit, and Cabrera, his good buddy, that relationship goes back to 1999. Was trying to steal one from him.
When that ball came off the bat, I thought it was going to be in the second deck out there in left field. A breaking ball that he got in on the hands of Pujols. And you can see Pujols' head down. Watch Cabrera as he jumps right here. Oh, in and out of the glove.
It certainly was. He had the catch made. That was deep inside that mitt and then popped out of it. We take another look from high home here.
That ball was not even going to be off the wall. All Cabrera's got to do, it looked like he jumped just a little bit too soon. And when the ball hit his glove, it looked like he just didn't have his timing down quite to perfection.
So Pujols with a double. He's 1 for 2. And here's Molina trying to drive him in. He rips that one to left field on a line. That's going to bounce and roll up against the fence. Pujols easily in to score. And Molina drives in his 39th run of the year. And the Cardinals double their lead with 1 swing to lead it 2-0 here in the 3rd inning. Yadier Molina jumping on that pitch. And in this inning, a pair of doubles and a home run, 3 extra base hits off of Vargas.
Well, you've got to believe that that ball that Pujols hit should have been caught. Most left fielders, I believe, make that play, Dave. You've got to find the wall first before you make your jump. And it looked like he just jumped a little bit too soon before he actually got to the wall. You see him get his hand onto the wall. Hey, if the ball hits in your glove, you got to catch it. And I think Cabrera knows that he should have caught that ball too.
Now, what is the genesis of that relationship between Cabrera and Pujols going back to 1999?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that both of these guys are not only great players on the field. This was in the Arizona Fall League. They just developed a very unique relationship, and I think a lot of it has to do with not only are these guys great hitters and great players on the field, but they're very like off the field, very gentle human beings.
Mikey Lowell moving to his left, slings it over to first base.
Just good people.
And retires Grudzielanek. Although no good catch to retire his buddy instead of double, and it's 2-0 St. Louis. It's Wednesday Night Baseball built by the Home Depot, and tonight from South Florida, it's the Cardinals and the Marlins looking at each other here in the tailing hours of August, and yet come October, maybe eye to eye, toe to toe in the playoffs. Albert Pujols with a double moments ago. Molina also picking up an RBI to drive in the MVP candidate, and the Cardinals lead it 2-0 under a light rain here in Miami. Matt Trainer, the catcher, in there tonight for Paul Aduca, taking a strike. The pitcher Vargas next, and then Juan Pierre. It's fascinating to me that guys like Pujols and Cabrera, seen as certainly 2 of the best hitters in all of baseball, have become good friends going back to '99 in the Florida Instructional League when they spent some time together.
Yes, and it was the Florida Instructional League, not Arizona. I said Arizona first. I was mistaken. But it is amazing that young players migrate towards each other, especially those that are not natives of this country, and using each other to benefit themselves not only on the baseball field but off the baseball field.
Trainer, a .217 hitter, flicks that one foul. I want that machine to take me back in time to '99 so that I can buy stock in a couple of big league careers in Pujols and Cabrera. And I think I'd come out pretty well on
And
that.
the thing about it that most people don't understand is how hard it is for these young men from Venezuela, from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Japan, wherever it may be, to come here, play a game that they're very familiar with, but also have to learn a new language, a new environment, new customs. It's very difficult, and a lot of times when you can't speak the English language and you can't do things that are very normal for us in our country, you're perceived as an individual that may not be quite as intelligent as the Americans that are here, and it is very far from the truth.
It's anything but.
It's anything
It's
but
the total reverse. The 1-2 pitch fouled away by Trainer.
I can remember playing not only in Puerto Rico, where I had to use hand motions that looked like a bird to order chicken at a fast food restaurant.
We have some tape of that, JP, and we're going to. No, actually, we don't. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. You started to break out into a little bit of a cold sweat. No, but I know exactly what you mean. As Trainer waits and takes outside for a ball, it's 2-2.
And being one that has a college degree and going into different countries and different places to play Winter League baseball, when you can't speak the language, yes, you do feel out of place. You do feel like you don't belong. It's very difficult to try to not only make your trade, but also to get around.
Trainer tied up. He swings and misses for strike 3. The third strikeout tonight recorded by the right-hander Suppan. David Amber with us in the studio for an update. David.
All right, guys, Mets and Phillies. Mets with Pedro on the mound and getting some offense as well, John.
Well, Ramon Castro, you talk about a guy who stepped up in the face of adversity with the injury to Mike Piazza. Big home run last night, big one tonight.
Yeah, Ramon Castro, 7th home run of the year. That's a career high. Dave O'Brien, Jeff Brantley, back to you.
David, thank you very much. Here it's 2-0 St. Louis. And how about Castro, the former Florida Marlin, who last night hit the big 3-run homer. He's subbing for Mike Piazza, who may not play again this year with that broken bone in his hand, and they're not missing anything with Castro. In fact, he's starting to carry them a bit offensively in a huge game tonight against the Phillies. Swung on and fouled away by Vargas. So let's check out the National League East coming into tonight.
You would think without Piazza and without Cameron that this ball club, the New York Mets, would have such a difficult time, and they have just turned it up another notch with Diaz in right field and having Castro behind the plate. This club they are not dying and they are not going away.
Vargas, a pretty good stick, hitting .333. He is 6 for 18. He did do some DHing in college, went from LSU to Long Beach State, as we said earlier. And the Marlins compare him a bit as far as the way he swings the bat, certainly from that side of the plate, to Dontrelle Willis.
They definitely have some pretty good hitting pitchers on both sides of the field tonight.
0-2 is up top for a ball. And getting back to the Mets, who have an opportunity tonight to really put a big hurt on the Philadelphia Phillies. David Wright is the guy who's been driving them, the 22-year-old third baseman, who has turned into one of the best hitters in the National League. He's having a spectacular second half. And the Mets just came off a 5-2 road trip. They're about to go on the road again after the Philadelphia series. They got Florida, Atlanta, St. Louis in a huge trip for them.
You look at that Mets ball club and you see the leadership out of Cliff Floyd, who is a veteran of many years in the big leagues, and the leadership of David Wright, who is very young, but they both play the game the way that it's supposed to be played. And when I say that, that means they don't leave anything on the field when the game's over.
That's right, a healthy and jovial Cliff Floyd. And you cannot overestimate the value of what Carlos Beltran did. He's not having a good year. But when he elected not to have surgery on the broken bone in his face after that terrible collision with Mike Cameron, when he came back to the team and said, I want to gut this thing out and get into the playoffs, that meant so much to the New York Mets clubhouse, and every player on that field looks at that moment maybe as the turning point for them.
Well, anytime that you have moments that are that such, even as devastating as it was for both Beltran and Mike Cameron, I think that's the kind of moments in a season that really bring your ball club together. And a good ball club, especially that veteran ball club that can come together, makes a lot of difference.
Reds collects the little chopper and throws on Vargas. 2 up and 2 down here. This Florida Marlins team is tied for the wild card lead right now with the Philadelphia Phillies, who are losing at the moment 2-0 to the New York Mets in the 3rd inning. Houston is just a half game off the pace. We look at the wild card standings. Now Washington has already lost game 1 of a doubleheader, so they are at the moment 2 games back. Another one coming with Atlanta. In fact, that game's in the 1st inning. It's 0-0, the nightcap. But you got the Marlins, Phillies, Astros, Mets, and Washington all within 2 games of each other in a wild card race. This is going to be some September. This is going to be the best September in a long time, when so many teams in both the American and National League wild card races are alive and kicking.
What amazes me is the fact that all of these decisions most likely will be made intra-division. They will have to beat their teams from their own division, whether it's the National League East or the Astros, and a lot of these clubs play the Astros here in September. This is going to be some kind of playoff race. It may all come all the way down to the last game of the season to decide who goes where.
Juan Pierre 1 for 1 with a bunt single, his 21st bunt hit. The Marlins love that wild card, don't they? They won it in '97 and then won the whole thing.
Well,
and they won it again in 2003.
I wish they would have had it in 1993. And we won 103 games in San Francisco and went home.
And that great race with Atlanta. The wild card champions, and the Marlins have done it twice. The Red Sox last year, the Angels in '02, the Marlins for the first World Series only 5 years in 1997.
I think a lot of that ability to win the World Series championship coming from the wild card is the fact that you have to be on your game to win the wild card, number 1, and it takes you into the postseason on a terrific high, and you just continue right along. Boston Red Sox last year, we saw this club, the Florida Marlins, do it a few years back.
Swinging a line shot over short. That'll drop down for a base hit. Pierre is on again. We came on the air tonight talking about maybe Delgado being the difference maker for the Marlins with that left-hand stick here in 2005. Well, maybe it's that man, Juan Pierre, catching fire in the second half and setting the table.
I think the biggest thing for Pierre is that his legs are healthy. He's able to do some things with the bat that he hasn't been able to do all year long. You can see that pitch right there was off the plate away, and he's still able to drive it over the head of shortstop David Eckstein. Now Supan's got a threat to run not only at first base but also at home plate in the speedster Castillo.
Pierre 2 for 2. The rest of the Marlins do not have a hit tonight. I'll tell you what, Pierre looks like a man who means to take the stolen base lead in the National League right now, at the moment tied with Jose Reyes of the Mets at 46.
Well, there's no sense for him not to run here with 2 outs, get himself in a position to score if Castillo can put a base hit out there.
But you got a man with a gun behind that plate. Supan trying to keep him close there. Now the first half of the season, this is pretty amazing. Yadier Molina, the St. Louis catcher, picked off 7 base runners. Well, he's only done it once in the second half.
That's because they're staying real close.
Because everyone has wised up and they're sticking close to the bases. Throwing a 65% to lead the majors. Supan really taking his time. Pierre holding, and the pitch outside on Castillo.
Well, I think Pierre got a jump there, but he wasn't sure. Supan held the ball just a little bit too long, and you can see the conversation between Eckstein and Grudzielanek at second base, trying to decide exactly who's going to cover on this steal. You can see Eckstein and Grudzelanek moving towards each other. They're doing it after every play. They want to make sure that somebody's there. Here he goes.
There he goes, but flick foul by Castillo, and I think Pierre would have had that one stolen. Got an excellent jump.
No doubt about it. But as you know, Dave, if Pierre is on the move and Castillo happens to slap one into left center field, Pierre could actually score from first base on a single.
Sure could, especially in a big outfield like this. The Marlins trying to get on the scoreboard here. Kind of a misnomer. A lot of the criticism of the Marlins is that they're not a good offensive club. They are the #2 hitting team in the National League, right behind the Cubs at 272. Problem has been getting that man across home plate. But they have plenty of hits. Castillo hitting over 300 coming into tonight. Here's a snap toss, almost, and the outfield, in fact, it is off the glove of Albert Pujols. And Pierre trots into second and stays right there. So Molina throwing off the mark this time. Usually very accurate, quite deadly back there, but Pujols could not corral that toss.
Well, a lot of times Castillo is in a crouch as he swings the bat, and I believe that Molina got caught up in the fact that Castillo was in the crouch, and he rose up just a little bit right as he got ready to throw the baseball. You can see him almost moving to the line of Molina's throw, and the ball is high going down the first baseline. A little frustrated for Molina right there. He knows he had a chance to get Pierre at first base.
E2. Pierre at second, 2 down. And the 1-2 to Castillo. Ground ball to first, backhanded nicely by Pujols. Now he'll race and get there for out number 3. So a threat for the Marlins, but Pierre is left stranded. Suppan getting through the inning with a 2-0 lead in Florida. A Wednesday in South Florida, the Cardinals leading the Marlins 2-0. It's ESPN 2's Major League Baseball doubleheader, concluding with an AL West showdown. It'll be the A's against the Angels. Some may see the Yankees and the Mariners. The broadcast tonight with a gifted play-by-play of Dan Schulman and the Emmy Award-winning Joe Morgan. As you get a look at the American League West and the standings, Oakland by 2 now over the Angels. And Texas, according to Mark Burley, stealing signs. What do you think of that? And that whole controversy, the White Sox left-hander Mark Burley calling the Rangers cheaters on Tuesday. He says that the team signals pitches to batters through a high-tech light system in center field.
I love Burley to death. I think he's a very highly competitive pitcher. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I love to watch him when he goes out there to play the game. But the reason that the Rangers hit better in that ballpark than they do on the road is because every ball that's in the air has a chance to go over the fence. It's like hitting at an airport. Come on now.
It's a big part of it.
These guys aren't flashing. Come on, Burles.
Well, the Rangers certainly dismissed the allegations.
Of course they did.
I know that Phil Nevin said, yeah, when I went 0 for 4, none of the lights were working. And Burley's a tremendously gifted pitcher. He's going to win a Cy Young one day. And goodness knows he's a guy that we love to have work games that we broadcast, because we're out of there
That's right.
for dinner in Chicago in an hour and 57.
A lot of strikes. Exactly right.
Scott Siebel 0 for 1, but flies this one deep into left center field. Pierre on his horse. Is he going to get there? He will. He tracks it down onto the warning track. Boy, he reads the ball so well. Got a terrific jump. Time for an update. Back in the studio, David Amber and John Kruk, guys.
All right, the Braves took game 1 of a double dip with the Nationals. Game 2, here comes Preston.
If the Nationals are going to win this wild card, he has to be big.
The RBI double brings in Nick Johnson. They've got a lead, and now it's actually tied at 1. And Pedro in some trouble against Ryan Howard.
Well, what's going to happen with Jim Thome if Ryan Howard keeps playing? Tough decision for Phillies.
Looking a lot like Jim Thome there. Another home run for him. Dave O'Brien, Jeff Brantley, back to you guys.
David Krucker, thank you very much. Howard can flat play.
That ball looked like it jammed him, and he still hit the ball out of the ballpark the other way, off Pedro.
The Phillies in a desperate fight, not only with the Mets, but these Marlins tied with Florida for the wild card lead. As Hector Luna hits here, he is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. So another pairing of Dan Schulman and Joe Morgan. Those guys are spending an awful lot of time together. I understand that John Miller has made some inquiries. He's getting a little nervous.
He's getting jealous.
So What happened to Joe? Joe's my guy. And now every week, week after week, he's hanging out with Dan Schulman.
Hanging out with Schulman.
What's going on there? Yeah. I have to make some inquiries of my own. St. Louis on top here, 2-0 in the 4th inning against the 22-year-old lefty Jason Vargas, making his 7th major league start. Another gifted Florida Marlin pitcher. That's been said many times before. A slicer down the right field line that has a chance. It'll drop in fair. It bounces toward the bullpen. Luna, pretty good speed, hits second running hard. Up with an Encarnacion. The throw will not get him. He came off, but he got back in before the tag by Lowell. Well, you saw the cannon by Encarnacion deep down the right field line, but Luna winds up with a 3-base hit here with 1 out in the 4th inning.
Luna never broke stride as he rounded first base. He could see the ball down the right field line. I think he was thinking 3 all the way, but the problem with this infield is it is cut up a little bit, and you'll see him slip just for a second as he rounds second base. He looked like he got out just a little bit ahead of himself. But that is some hustle, and it's got to be done right out of the box, especially with the arm of Encarnacion in right field. Now Vargas has got some pitching to do.
Abraham Nunez with the infield in, and that one trims the letters on Nunez. He is 0 for 1 with a ground out. Here's the near tag. Oh, he got that hand down. Nunez has tapped out to short. He does it again. They may be sending that runner home from third. Line drive instead of a base hit to center field. Luna is in to score. It is 3-0 St. Louis. An RBI single by Abraham Nunez. Scott Rowland's fill-in, who continues to do excellent work for Tony La Russa.
And I think that is the type of production that you get from a bench player that has now got a new lease on life, being able to play every day. Doesn't try to overswing in that situation, just tries to get the ball back up the middle, get the ball into the outfield, and score the run from third base.
Suppan trying to drop down a bunt with Lowell charging along with Delgado on the corners. He fouls it away for a strike.
Well, in this situation, you definitely want to bunt the ball to Delgado, make him field the ball, and turn and throw the ball to Castillo at first base.
Nunez aboard at first base after his RBI single. Suppan now pulls away the bunt and now gets back down there and drops it down along first. Well done as Delgado throws on to Castillo. Into second is Nunez. The sacrifice for Suppan, who handles the bat awfully well. He flied one deep into right center, swinging away back in the 3rd inning. And here in the 4th, a sacrifice. Back up to the top of the order now, David Eckstein. Eckstein in the 3rd inning put a charge into this one for his 7th home run of the year.
Looked like he was trying to get that ball on the hands of Eckstein, but the ball didn't quite get in there. He went in on the pitch before and jammed him down the right field line, but that pitch didn't quite get to the place I think that Jason Vargas wanted it to go.
It certainly went to the spot that David Eckstein wanted it to go. He is 1 for 2 tonight. He hit it 353 feet. But you know this about Eckstein, he's going to put the bat on the ball. He does that more effectively than anybody in the big leagues. He is the major league leader in making contact with just 46 misses in almost 1,000 swings this year. Fly ball routinely to center field. Pierre coming in now, and he's got it. Side retired, but a couple of hits and another run on the board for St. Louis. We'll see if the Marlins can break through. Some big guys coming up in Cabrera, Delgado, and Encarnacion. Cardinals up 3-0, and Scott Rowland's fill-in. Abraham Nunez doing good work on that RBI single, JB.
Well, this is where you want to have your guys that have not had consistent ABs, and you can see his eyes right there on the baseball. This is what you get from a bench player that has got some consistent at bats. Normally that ball would be pulled to shortstop or popped up. You could see where the pitch was. It was off the plate away. He does a great job staying on it, driving it up the middle, and getting the run across the plate.
Cabrera 0 for 1. He's grounded out to short. Fair to say that if he had not had as many at bats as he has been required to take, because of the injury to Roland. He doesn't have that kind of a swing.
I think that he either takes the pitch or he pops it up. That was a good pitch from Vargas, but it was even better job by Nunez by not over swinging and just taking the ball back up the middle with a great approach.
Well, swinging and making violent contact with the baseball is something that few do as well as this man, Miguel Cabrera. Last night he torched a home run here, 433 feet, that most of the folks in the ballpark, including Jack McKeon, lost sight of. An absolute blur of a rocket in the victory against St. Louis. You talk about instantaneously rising up into the night. He is going to bust up some seats in the upper deck here over the course of his career. The 22-year-old from Venezuela fouls this one back to the net.
The thing about Cabrera, that ball was down and in, and he caught it right on the fat part of the bat, and you saw how far that ball went into the upper deck. But he can also hit the ball down the right field line the same exact way. This is a kid that from foul pole to foul pole has just as much power in any spot as he does in any other.
1-2, Rattler foul into the dugout third base side. Look at the numbers, and it's an interesting comparison. We talk about Pujols being the premier all-around hitter in the game, but look at the first 377 major league games of each of them and how well Cabrera compares to Pujols and A-Rod and Griffey. 28 home runs for him at present. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He leads off here in the 4th inning as the Marlins try and get on the board. Try to get somebody else other than Juan Pierre into the hit column against Jeff Suppan.
I think a lot of Cabrera's success thus far has been simply because he is so talented physically. I think as he matures, not only as a baseball player, but as a young man, he's going to get even better. I think there are times where we see him give away ABs late in the ballgame that you don't see Pujols do.
High fly ball, well struck deep right center. Taguchi racing toward the track. He's there. He's got it. A deep drive, but it's such a big ballpark and unfair, says Miguel Cabrera, as he hit that one all night. But Taguchi had all evening to run, and he tracked it down.
Well, that just shows you the power that we were talking about with Cabrera. This pitch is down and away, and he hits it almost out of the ballpark in right center field at the 404 sign where Taguchi makes the catch. Whew. Talk about a long, far one.
Cabrera 0 for 2. The shift on for Delgado. Taking strike 1. He walked in the 2nd inning.
And when a ball is hit like that, even the guy with speed like Taguchi, he still had a long way to go to get to that baseball. And the fact that it was close to the wall, you've got to watch that also.
It's about 390 where he tracked it down, and from the pitch we pick it up on the long drive by Cabrera. And that is a right-hand hitter knocking it out there. Not a lefty pull hitter like Delgado.
You saw the jump that Taguchi got on the baseball. That's why he's playing center field tonight. Much easier for him to see the baseball than it probably would be for the 2 younger outfielders on the sides of it.
That is vintage Mike Piazza kind of power as far as right-hand hitters going that way.
And that pitch was down and right on the outside corner, and still Cabrera was able to drive it that far to the opposite field.
But it went for naught into So Taguchi's glove. 3-0 St. Louis.
Scary power. You see where this pitch is, down right on the outside corner and still able to drive it with that kind of power the other way.
Fouled back. Delgado with a rising heater. Got a piece of it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Mets still leading Philadelphia 2-1 there in the 5th inning. Atlanta beat Washington 5-3 in game 1 of a doubleheader earlier today. They're playing the nightcap right now, 2nd inning, tied 1-1. Ground ball right into that shift.
Well, they had him play just perfect where Grudzielanek was at.
2 down. So Suppan is making this look pretty easy so far tonight. He's allowed only 2 hits. The Marlins tagged Suppan for 10 hits and 4 runs back on August 4th, and they beat him 4-3 in St. Louis. But the journeyman right-hander last year quietly won a team-high 16 games for the Cardinals. Up to 69 pitches, only 1 walk. Went 16-9 with an ERA of 4.16. Big cut and a miss by Encarnacion. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning.
That pitch there, I think, is the pitch that has made a lot of difference for Jeff Suppan. Now, when you can throw your changeup for a strike, it makes you a lot more aggressive on the inside part of the plate, especially for a guy like Suppan, who doesn't throw the ball 95, 96 miles an hour. And what got Carlos Delgado out in that AB was the fastball at 91 that he threw inside and then came back with that changeup, and Delgado rolls right over it weakly to second base.
Encarnacion backs away from the ball, 2-1. He is just 2 out of 24 in his career meetings with Suppan. Carpenter has been terrific. The starting rotation of the Cardinals gives them the #1 pitching staff in the National League. Ranked tops, and they have 5 men in the starting rotation who have won at least 10. The only staff in the majors who can say that.
They are the only staff. The only staff that's even close is Boston, with 4 of their starters with 10 wins.
Who is your Cy Young right now? Is it that guy? Is it Chris Carpenter?
Chris Carpenter.
Swing and a miss, and Encarnacion strikes out for the 2nd time against Suppan. Encarnacion says some days it does not pay to come to work. 3-0 St. Louis. From Miami on a Wednesday night at Dolphin Stadium, Dave O'Brien, Jeff Bradley with you. Great to have you along with St. Louis on top here, 3-0 over the Marlins, who are tied for the wild card lead with the Phillies. Philadelphia losing at the moment of the 5th inning to the New York Mets. Sexton with a solo homer in the 3rd inning. Doubles by Pujols and Molina added another run in that inning. Then a triple and a single off of young Jason Vargas got the 3rd run of the night for the Cardinals. And brings up So Taguchi to start the 5th. Right-hand hitter from Japan. He is 35 years old. Spent most of his career playing for the Oryx Blue Wave in Japan. He was a teammate of Ichiro Suzuki's there. 1 for 2 with a single. Taguchi won 5 Gold Gloves in Japan, and he has shown tonight he handles this outfield almost on a par with Juan Pierre in South Florida.
Well, the one thing that Taguchi has is great instincts in center field or whichever outfield position he plays, because he can play them all. But he gets great jumps on the baseball.
He pulls that one into left field for a base hit.
He's got Vargas's number tonight.
2 for 3 with a long fly out. Time for a 30 at 30 sports update. We go to the studio and David Amber. Dave.
All right, guys, big stories we are following include the effects of Hurricane Katrina being felt across Louisiana. Thousands evacuated from a leaky Superdome. They head to the Astrodome, and the Saints, they're going to practice in San Antonio following tomorrow's game at Oakland. As well, the rich get richer. Free agent Michael Finley signing on with the world champion San Antonio Spurs. 16 points per game last year for the 32-year-old. These stories on SportsCenter, 11 o'clock Eastern, or you can catch the news and highlights on ESPN News.
Just in time to see Albert Pujols get in. He has struck out and doubled. Came around to score a run back in the 3rd inning to make him 1 for 2. He's a .330 hitter with 35 homers and 99 runs batted in. And Trainer wants to have a quick word here with Jason Vargas.
I think the big thing for Trainer right here is just to settle down Vargas a little bit. He's got a runner on first base. The last thing that you want to do, even though St. Louis has got 3 runs on the board, you don't want to let the game slip away from you, especially with Pujols here. You don't want to make a mistake at 2-0. Calm yourself down, get the ball down in the strike zone, and make a quality pitch.
Pujols last year hit 46 home runs, 2nd most in the National League. He was 3rd in RBIs while hitting .331 for the year. That was not good enough to win the MVP, but perhaps 2005 those kind of numbers will.
It seems like ever since Albert Pujols broke into the big leagues, he has been an absolute, consistently hitting machine.
Well, he went after the 3-0 pitch, fouled it straight back, 3-1.
I think a slump for him may be only like 1 AB.
Tough at bat.
Yeah. Oh well.
Get you next time. The 3-1 wrapped toward the alley on a line. That's going to split the outfielders, Pierre and Encarnacion, and go all the way to the fence. Taguchi hits third. He'll come on in easily. Big Albert wants 3, and he'll get the triple. He slides in with an RBI 3-base hit to make it 4-0 St. Louis.
He just went down there and got that ball. That was not a bad pitch by Jason Vargas. Pujols it was almost like he threw that ball into the right center field gap. Watch him go down there and get this baseball. Wow.
100 RBIs with that triple for Albert Pujols. Not noted for speed. It's the one missing element of his game, I guess you could say, especially now that he has become a superb defensive first baseman.
You don't have to run real fast when you hit him over the fence as consistently as he did.
That's for sure. He'll take the triple here for his second hit of the night, which, by the way, gets him halfway to the cycle.
And how many home run hitters of the capability that you see with Pujols have the speed that he just showed there, or the desire to make a triple out of that ball that he hit right there? A lot of times you see guys just come out of the box very lackadaisically and just stay and stop at second base instead of going full boat out of the batter's box and heading for third base.
Infield in for Molina, who has doubled in a run and also reached on an error. Real time now on the 3-base hit.
You see Pujols coming out of the box. No, he's not known for his speed, but he is known for his desire, and you can see it all the way in this sprint for third base. That's a ball player, ladies and gentlemen.
And that is a guy who has driven in 100 runs or more for 5 consecutive seasons to start his major league career. Infield tugged in, 4-0 St. Louis. They have 8 hits tonight against Vargas, fouled straight back by Molina. Last year, 123 RBIs for Pujols, but at this pace, he's going to go right by the 130 that he hung up in his rookie year in 2001. A list of gentlemen with 100 RBIs or more in their first 5 seasons, including DiMaggio and Williams. High fly ball left field, driving Cabrera back with nobody out. The tag up now by Pujols. He is in to score, and that makes it 5-0. So Molina picks up his second RBI in the ball game. 1 out here, 5-zip St. Louis. Last night they got a healthy lead and wound up blowing that as the Marlins came from behind to win the ball game 7-6. Tonight the Cardinals trying to make sure relatively early here in the 5th inning, up 5-0.
That's the one thing I was talking about earlier, is the sense of urgency that the Marlins seem to lack to go out and win, and win right now. Seems like this ball club has just been a little bit short all year long in the desire department, if you ask me. I thought this club would come out and just blow away the National League East and the rest of the National League, and it's been the Cardinals who've done that.
Hot shot by Grudzielanek, but Lowell, very sure-handed, throws on to get him. That's just the second out in this inning. Vargas has not been as sharp tonight as he has been in previous starts. He's allowed 5 runs on 8 hits. He's also given up 2 triples. A couple of doubles and a home run by Eckstein, so plenty of extra base hits. Light rain starting to fall again as you look at the pitch count on Jason Vargas. Just his 7th major league start as he delivers ball 1 to Scott Seabold. Seabold 0 for 2. He's popped out, flied out.
Vargas has yet to show any distraught or any type of bad emotions on the mound. I don't think you would know what the score is without seeing it on the board by watching the way that he has pitched. He has gone about his business in the best way possible. even with a drop ball in the first inning and a ball that was hit out to Cabrera that was scored as a double that probably should have been called.
Siebel on with a base hit to make him 1 for 3 in this one. Scott Siebel, a guy who spent his first 5 seasons in the minor leagues, never got a cup of coffee with a big league team. He was in the Yankee organization, and then in 2001 he was very nearly a modern day Archibald Moonlight Graham. He got 1 at bat with the Yankees in 2001, went right back to the minors, and hadn't been back to the big leagues until this year, 2005.
Talking to Tony La Russa about Siebel, he is a guy that Tony would like to use as he used Eduardo Perez a few years back, a guy that can come in against a fastball throwing closer because the guy's got good bat speed and he's got the type of leverage that you need to hit the ball out of the ballpark late in the ball game.
Well, he's no kid, but he certainly is patient. Perseverance is his name. An 88th round draft pick, Scott Siebel. He's on at first base. Hector Luna has tripled. He's also struck out tonight. He's 1 for 2.
You know, it doesn't really matter where you're drafted. As long as you've got an opportunity to put on that uniform, you've got a chance to get to the big league.
Swinging a high fly ball driven by Luna. Well struck to left. That one is up and over the teal tower for a 2-run homer. And that should do it tonight for Jason Vargas. Luna with a home run along with his triple to make it 7-0 St. Louis.
Now, how good do you have to feel if you're Tony La Russa, knowing that all of your bench players heading into the postseason have got significant contributions to the ball club's winning this year, and the fact that a lot of them have close to 200 ABs, and they're just your guys that are coming off the bench. Now
for Hector Luna, JB, his first home run of the year.
Now comes a decision as to who do you keep on the postseason roster, not only from the pitching side, but also from the defensive and hitting side. Not going to be an easy task.
It is a deep, deep ball club. And you're right, they all seem to be contributing. Taguchi with a couple of hits tonight. Siebel with a base hit moments ago. Luna has 2 hits. Nunez with an RBI single. That one hit right to Gonzalez. He's up and over in time, and the side is retired. But 7 Cardinals come up, and 4 of them come on in to score, and it's 7-0 St. Louis. We're back in South Florida where the rain is really starting to fall hard. Those skies opening up as Mike Lowell hits here in the bottom of the 5th. Remember, the Marlins have to bat and complete their at bat here in the bottom of the 5th inning, the home team, in order for this game to be official. Now, it could be a passing South Florida shower. This kind of thing happens in this part of the country every day. And now they're going to delay it at 8:44 as they've decided to suspend play and bring out the tarp, with the Marlins hitting and trailing 7-0 in the 5th inning. So we do have a rain delay as they'll get the tarp on the diamond. Suppan up 7-zip, but he's going to have to sit and wait here. Vargas knocked around for 10 hits and 7 runs. His night is assuredly over. So right now we'll toss it to the studio. David Amber and John Kruk will have an update as soon as we can get it to you. 7-0 St. Louis. Well, the rain has stopped. Mike Lowell is in the batter's box. We are ready to resume after the rain delay in South Florida with St. Louis up 7-0. Suppan wraps, toss of the first pitch, wrap foul by Mike Lowell as we are back to action. Lowell 0 for 1. He has popped out to right field. The rain has stopped, completely dry here after a 35-minute rain delay here in South Florida. And the Marlins down by 7. Fly ball to center field. Taguchi, though, with room to make the play, puts it away for out number 1 in the bottom of the 5th. A look at our Amstel Light game track to find out how we got to this point before the rain interrupted it. Pujols 2 out of 3. He's recorded his 100th RBI. Suppan returned after the delay, very sharp. Pierre with a couple of singles, but in fact that's all the hits the Marlins have.
Well, just watching Suppan here, he comes right out firing strikes right away. And that's exactly what you want to do when you come back after a rain delay. You don't want to sit around too long, and I'm sure that he probably did some stretching and did some exercises while he was sitting during that short rain delay. Keep that body as hot as you can, and that's not hard to do here in South Florida.
Not on a humid night like this. 2-0 on Alex Gonzalez. He's 0 for 1 tonight with a strikeout. Now Moeller is warming up in the bullpen. He'll be the next Marlin pitcher after Jason Vargas was knocked around tonight for 7 runs, 10 hits. That's actually 2 starts in a row that he has scuffled.
Well, you've got to remember that Vargas threw the ball, seemed to be pretty well. Ball dropped out in left field by Cabrera, led to a big inning there. We just showed a shot of the infield, which may end up being something that each team has to deal with as time moves on, especially in a rain delay like this. You see all that diamond dry out there on the field. Makes the ball do funny things when the ball comes out there. It's very sluggish as you round the bases. It's not the perfect footing that you want to have on a regular field, and this field is usually very hard. The ball gives you very true hops. You're not going to be able to see that for the rest of the night.
Well, a runner at first base. Gonzalez just taking ball 4. Matt Trainer struck out his first time up back in the 3rd inning. Lenny Harris has come to the on-deck circle, and he'll be hitting in the pitcher spot for Florida. So a relatively quick night for Jason Vargas as he goes the first 5 and is certainly on the hook tonight. That's across for a strike on Trainer. Well, weather is always a factor for the Florida Marlins here in South Florida. And tonight, rain interrupting these proceedings for a little over half an hour. But the Marlins are only averaging 22,700 fans per home game. It's dead last in the National League. Chopper to third. Tough stop for Nunez. The turn will not be made. No double play. Safe at first is Trainer, as Gonzalez is set down at second. 2 away.
As high as that ball bounced going to Nunez at third base, and then Nunez having to make sure that he had the ball in his glove. When you have that diamond dry, and you can see that bobble just for a split second doesn't allow him to turn that double play at first base. There is so much gravel in that diamond drive that when you scoop the ball, especially when you have to take your glove down to the dirt to do so, you get a little bit of that diamond dry in your glove, and it's hard to get a grip on the baseball.
Lenny Harris pops that one along the left field line, but that's going to drop down for a pinch hit single. And runners will be on at first and third here with 2 down. So Suppan, who still needs 1 more out to qualify for the win, has trouble getting it, as many have, facing Lenny Harris, the best pinch hitter in the history of the game. 207 career pinch hits. So that's the all-time record and climbing.
And you've got to imagine, from Lenny Harris's standpoint, being a South Florida native, living here, growing up down here, and being able to finish his career not only with the brass ring a couple of years back, but also having the all-time pinch hit record that was held by quite a few others before he got a chance to get to that point.
Juan Pierre perfect tonight. He has singled twice, the first time on a bunt. And here in the bottom of the 5th, someone other than Pierre is finally in the hit column for the Marlins, as Lenny Harris dunks down the single. Trainer at third base, and the pitch misses outside. Suppan with 1 more out to get to gain the official win. He will pitch long enough, but he's not out of the inning yet.
Normally when you come back from a rain delay, the first inning that you're back is not the inning that gives you trouble. It's normally the inning afterwards, when your arm starts to stiffen up, when you head back to the dugout.
They count 2-1 on Pierre. Philadelphia has a 5-2 lead over the Mets in the 9th inning. Coming into play tonight, the Marlins and the Phillies were tied for the wild card lead in the National League. Pedro Martinez rubbed up for 4 home runs tonight. Swing and a shot out to left center. Taguchi reads it well. Into the alley. He takes it. And the side is retired. So after the rain delay at 35, we're back to playing. It's still 7-0 St. Louis. Baseball from Miami, and hopefully we have had our rain shower for this evening. The Cardinals with a shower of runs on the strength of 10 hits to knock the left-hander Jason Vargas out of the game. That and a rain delay causing the Marlins to make a pitching change. Brian Moeller about to appear in his 31st game of the year. And despite the fact he's allowing a .307 batting average, a 6-9 record, and an ERA under 4. And a man who will hit against him is a fellow pitcher, Jason Marquis. Thompson, a right-hander, warming up in the bullpen for Tony La Russa, who goes to his bench, doesn't bring off an everyday player to hit for his pitcher Suppan. Instead, it's Jason Marquis, another starting pitcher, but he's 3 for 7 as a pinch batter.
The thing about Marquis is the fact that, oh my goodness.
Now the bat snaps. He may only have one of those. And Delgado makes the play on the flip. 1 man out.
Well, he's 3 for 8 now as a pinch hitter, but Marquis gives Tony La Russa an extra option to save some of his bench, especially with a short bench and all of the injuries that they have had to overcome. You get Marquis more ABs, especially in this type of ball game. You never know when you may have to use him as a left-handed pinch hitter later on in the season or into the postseason if he's on that postseason roster, which I assume that he probably will be, most likely out of the bullpen.
David Eckstein taking a strike. We saw the remnants of the bat that shattered right there at the handle being carted off the field. So the question is, Jeff Brantley, as a pitcher, how many bats do you carry with you on the road? How many do you bring with you? And this one is wrapped up the middle on a base hit for Eckstein.
I never carried any.
None. Using someone else's all the time. We'll have more on that. Right now we go back to the studio for 30 at 30 update with David Amber.
All right, guys, some big stories we are following tonight include the effects of Hurricane Katrina still being felt across Louisiana. Thousands evacuated from a leaky Superdome. They're off to the Astrodome, and the Saints, they're going to practice in San Antonio following tomorrow's game at Oakland. As well, the San Antonio Spurs pick up free agent Michael Finley. These stories and more on SportsCenter, 11 o'clock Eastern. Also, check out ESPN News.
So Taguchi, the hitter, with a runner at first and 1 out. The Cardinals have out-hit the Marlins tonight, 11-3. So you never brought a bat with you on a road trip? Not one of yours? Not a Jeff Brantley model?
The only time I ever brought any bats with me was when I was in San Francisco.
We were starting pitcher.
When I was a starting pitcher, which didn't last very long, that little experiment there. But I did actually get some bats. You can't bring bats if you don't have any. But I think I had 3, and 2 of them I had signed by the team, so I really only had 1.
Because you're not going to swing the one that everyone takes the time to sign.
Yeah, I don't want to take
2,
that bat. But you know, the thing about it is if you reach in there and you grab the wrong bat, let's say I grab Albert Pujols and shatter his bat like that, you might get released.
In there for a strike, and he catches Taguchi looking for strike 3. Taguchi, who had been 2 for 3 with a couple of singles, not delighted with that call, but he's down on strikes.
And there have been stories of pitchers just reaching in and grabbing whoever's bat happens to be in the bat rack, and it may be somebody that's got a 27-game hit streak, and you grab their bat and go up there and break it.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
That is a finable offense, isn't it?
Oh, it's heavy fine in the Kangaroo Court.
Albert Pujols is halfway to the cycle. Tonight, a double and a triple. Certainly for Albert, the triple, and for most players, that's the one you want to get out of the way. He's a home run hitter, so that's got to be next, right? We'll see. Brian Moeller has other ideas with Eckstein at first base, and that's off the outside part of the plate.
Of course, Kangaroo Court is the court that you have among the players themselves. Sometimes the fines in those courts are quite larger than what you would have if you just went to a municipal.
Is set by Moeller, and the pitch to Pujols. A swing and a drive deep into the left field corner. That's going to bounce fair and up against the fence. In fact, over the wall, and that'll cost a run here for the Cardinals. Now, they may have plenty, but it also costs an RBI to Albert Pujols. He winds up with a double, his 3rd extra base hit of the game. Did jump over the fence for a ground rule 2-base hit.
Watch this swing here. This ball looks like it's going to get in on Pujols. He brings his hands in, slides his elbows inside the baseball, and is still getting some extension. And you can see as he releases his hands through the swing, it's almost a one-handed swing, so he can get extra extension and still be able to drive that ball and keep it fair down the third baseline.
Well, the young catcher Yadier Molina, part of that great catching family of Molinas, has a good night going. 2 RBIs, 1 on a double and 1 on a sacrifice fly, and has a chance for more here with 2 down with runners at second and third.
So that would be the catching Molinas.
Yes.
Not only their father being in the Puerto Rican Hall of Fame, the one who started all of this to begin with, but now both Molinas in Anaheim, and now Yadier catching in St. Louis.
Great family of baseball, and there's a fly into center field, mindful of the Alou family. Out number 3, 2 men left in the inning, but the Cardinals are up 7-0 here in South Florida tonight. Suppan was very good as we look at the Wagner pitching summary, hanging around for 5 innings, allowing just 3 hits. Vargas was only around for 5 innings and 10 hits, 7 runs against him. He threw 91 pitches. That one brought to you by Wagner as Luis Castillo steps in here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 7-0 St. Louis. New pitcher is Brad Thompson. He has been very effective for La Russa. Chopper on the infield. Pujols handles the chance, back to the bag for the out. 1 away.
Now, as we watch Brad Thompson pitch tonight, this is as much of an important game for him, regardless of what the score is at this point, because he's pitching for a spot on that postseason roster. Rookie or not, there are more pitchers that are active on this staff than what are actually going to be carried during the postseason. And this young man right here has done a tremendous job out of the bullpen as a rookie pitcher.
Swinging a line shot up the middle and a base hit for Miguel Cabrera, who grounded out his first time, flied out to center his second time. So he's 1 for 3. The Marlins have only had a handful of hits tonight, a total of 4. 2 of those by Juan Pierre, the leadoff man. And next in will be Carlos Delgado. Quiet night for the big slugger. He is 0 for 1 with a walk. Now, this game was scoreless until the top of the 3rd when the Cardinals got 2. They added another run in the 4th and 4 more in the 5th inning. That was not long before we had a rain delay of 35 minutes. 1-0 the count on Delgado. And again, the Delgado shift on in a big way for the pull hitter.
Shortstop David Eckstein playing almost 15 feet towards the right field line on the other side of second base.
JB, Jeff Suppan quietly gets it done, doesn't he? If he gains the win tonight, and it's certainly looking very promising for the right-hander, he will go to 13-10. Last year he was the top winner on the St. Louis staff, but you could win some bets with that one as he went 16-9. Ground ball and smothered, but now it spits away from Pujols. The flip over to first in time to get Delgado. Cabrera into second safely, but with 2 down.
Pujols does a great job just to knock this ball down here, and I think we're going to see more hops of this kind because of all of the infield changes, because they're so wet. But he does a great job, and Thompson does a great job getting over there and making sure that he gets himself in position for the flip from Albert Pujols, and then checks the runner at second base.
Well, a couple of years ago, I don't think he gets his glove on that. I think that's down the line for an extra base hit. But he has vastly improved himself defensively with relentless work, taking tons of ground balls over there at first base and learning to play that position with a good deal of savvy. He's now among the upper tier of defensive first basemen.
I think that having him there consistently, regardless of where the position is, I think that is what has helped him so much to get better defensively.
Nunez with the stop, up and over in time, and that's the side. The Marlins get a hit, but that's all. They have yet to break through. 7-0 St. Louis. Some young fans still hanging in there late on a Wednesday night. Moving toward 10 o'clock, 7-0 St. Louis. The Marlins kind of taking one on the chin here as we glance at the wild card standings. Philadelphia and the Marlins right now tied for the wild card lead, but the Phillies have shaken up Pedro Martinez and the Mets. An 8-2 Philadelphia lead in the 9th inning at Shea Stadium right now. Mark Grudzielanek is 0 for 3. Trying to get into the hit column against Jack McKeon's Marlins, who got to Jason Vargas, pitching only 5 innings, giving up 10 hits and 7 runs. Although he did get Mark Grudzielanek 3 times, and that's saying something the way that Grudzielanek has swung the bat. Particularly in the second half, he's hitting .358 since the All-Star break. Young Vargas looking on after a rough outing. That's on the outside corner for strike.
But even getting hit as hard as Vargas did tonight, he still continued to pitch regardless of what the run differential was, and he continued to do what they've asked him to do, and that's throw strikes and get the ball over the plate.
Well, he seems to be the same pitcher, whether he's up 7-0 or behind 7-0, or whether his first baseman is making the play on an easy flip over to first base or dropping it. He never changed expression on the error committed by Delgado right away. Just pitched right through that. And the Marlins have found themselves another very talented pitcher in Jason Vargas, even though tonight was not his night.
You look at how this Florida Marlins ball club has assembled some of these young starting pitchers, and seeing a guy like Vargas and Dontrelle Willis, who they traded for, but then you see Beckett and some of the others. It's amazing to see that many quality arms in this system. Somebody's got to be doing something right throughout their minor league system, not only to draft these guys, but to develop them into the type of pitchers that get here quite quickly. Age 22.
The one fouled back by Grudzielanek. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Take a look at the Florida Marlins rotation and the season numbers. A.J. Burnett struggling a little bit as of late because he had that long run of victories right about the time he was rumored to be traded. But Dontrelle Willis anchors the whole thing. 18-8 on his way to 20.
And I think when you look at those numbers, not everyone is going to be able to win 18 ball games, but you knew something was going on with Dontrelle right off the bat.
Lowell can't get to it. Gonzalez does. Smooth backhand, but the throw is not in time. And Grudzielanek is on with an infield hit. So the Marlins have never had a pitcher win 20 games. Not in either of their World Series years of '97 or in 2003. So Dontrelle Willis is certainly closing in on being the first. You got to love his chances now with a full month to go and 2 wins to do it. Carl Pavano won 18, and now Dontrelle Willis has matched that victory total.
Well, he came out of spring training on fire, and he has yet to change that fire at all.
Here's John Mabry hitting for the first time tonight. He came on right around the time of the rain delay, which lasted 35 minutes. The Cardinals had a 7-0 lead at the time. Mabry, a real good guy coming off your bench. He has very good power as well from the left side. He's a former Florida Marlin.
Mabry's had 2 different stints with the St. Louis Cardinals. In between that being with the Marlins, also in Seattle. I would say that this guy is a professional hitter.
Yep, and he's
from
part,
every bit of the world.
He's part of a bench full of them too for the St. Louis Cardinals. And talking about Cy Young, and we showed you Dontrelle Willis's numbers, 18-8, ERA of 2.61. We showed you Carpenter earlier. Here's Chris Carpenter on the right next to Matt Morris. You said that Carpenter right now would be your Cy Young Award winner. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And the reason I said that is he's really got at least 1 more inning per start than what Roger Clemens has. His win totals speak for themselves.
He's 19 and 4. Yeah.
And his ERA down in the low twos, 2.2 something, I believe.
2.29.
And the fact that he has completed as many ball games as Dontrell Willis, doesn't quite have the shutout totals, but for what Carpenter has done for the St. Louis Cardinals, I just find it very hard to not give my vote to what he's done. Now, if he doesn't finish the season as strong, he's got a lot of competition there behind him, even all the way to Pedro Martinez, who had a rough night tonight. But I don't think the Mets are anywhere near where they are right now without Pedro Martinez in that starting staff.
No doubt about that. And of course, Roger Clemens, as Mabry takes ball 4. The Rocket getting no run support, although he is brilliant. Be a mound visit here for Brian Moeller with runners at first and second. St. Louis threatening again. So Chris Carpenter, you'd say, I mean, he's 1 win away from 20, a lower ERA than Dontrell Willis. Of course, his team is in cruise control. The Marlins are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Came into tonight tied with the Phillies for the wild card lead.
But that's not always the easiest place to pitch. A lot of times it's easier to pitch for the Florida Marlins because you're in the hunt and you have got to get to you have got to pitch well every time out, versus Chris Carpenter, whose team is already there. You're having to pitch for yourself, and a lot of times playing for yourself, especially when you're as competitive as Chris Carpenter, that's a very difficult thing to do.
I think you're right. I think if the season ended today, Dontrell is a fairly close runner-up, but he is the runner-up to Carpenter in the National League Cy Young. There's still a month to go.
You talked about
this one ripped down into the corner off the bat of Luna. What a night he's having. Up against the fence. Grudzielanek is in to score. Mabry down to third. And it's another extra base hit for Hector Luna, who has a triple, a homer, and now a double. And he's driven in 3 runs. To the studio we go, and David Amber. David.
All right, how about the net zero high-speed play of the day? D-Rays and Sox. Kevin Millar thinking extra bases. I don't think so. Joey Gathwaite, that is a web gem.
Hey, you can't put any air underneath the ball with that Devil Rays outfield.
And Millar, though, would get his revenge a little later on.
That's the only way you can put air under it. It better leave the park.
Second of the game for Millar. It's a game winner. Sox win at 7-6. Let's send it back to you.
Abraham Nunez in the batter's box with the infield creeping in. A little pop-up foul off third. Lowell gives chase over near that tarpaulin, which is rolled up, but we had to use it earlier tonight.
You talked about the St. Louis Cardinals being in cruise control. Watching this ball game tonight, if I didn't know exactly which club stood where, I would say that the Cardinals were the team that had to win the extra game to get into the playoffs, and not the Florida Marlins. And this is a club, the St. Louis Cardinals, that are starting a lot of guys that are off of their bench. They're bench players. They're not their everyday players. And I think this is what we've seen from the Florida Marlins from the beginning of spring training all the way to right now. A club that's loaded down with talent and, in my mind, is massively underachieving. The only weak spot that this club had was in their bullpen, and Todd Jones has filled it as good as you could possibly fill that spot.
He sure has. Swung on and missed, and Nunez strikes out. That is the first out here in the 7th inning, as the Cardinals lead it 8-0. They've really pounded Mike Lowell's Florida Marlins tonight. They've out hit him 14-4. Although last night, to be fair to the Marlins, and certainly tonight they get knocked around, but last night Florida had a very dramatic win here to pull even with Philadelphia in the wild card race. What you're saying is, that aside, and even tonight aside, in your opinion, they ought to have a 4- or 5-game lead in the wild card, or you know, vying for the division title.
I think they should be in the driver's seat in the National League East with the talent that they've had. I mean, let's face it, Bobby Cox and John Schuerholz have done probably as good a job as anybody in the game for a long period of time, keeping that club together in Atlanta with all of the young players that they've had to bring up from their system all the way down to Double-A. They've done it without closer at all, basically closer roulette, starters being on the DL left and right, and this club is still leading this division for the umpteenth time. Now, you cannot tell me that the Florida Marlins have played to the best of their capabilities. There is no way.
Atlanta right now with a 5-game lead over the division.
And you would think, watching the Marlins play, they've got the 5-game lead.
Well, the Marlins certainly have not gotten the kind of season they wanted out of Mike Lowell. Did not get a very good first half out of Juan Pierre. At times they have been maddeningly inconsistent. On the other hand, it's about to go into September, this 2005 regular season, and they're right there for a postseason berth. Although Philadelphia has defeated the Mets by a final score of 8-2. So unless the Marlins recover here tonight with a comeback of comebacks, Philadelphia will retake sole possession of the wild card lead in the National League this evening. Houston has a 4-0 lead in the 7th inning, by the way, in their ball game. As that one was fouled away by Brad Thompson, the pitcher.
And if they win their ball game against Cincinnati and Florida continues to lose here, Florida's going to drop more than just one spot. They may drop out of that tie with Philadelphia and drop all the way down to the 3rd spot behind Houston.
Marlins in a big hole here tonight. The man they need is Dan Marino. He overcame deficits like this all the time here in this ballpark, in this stadium.
I don't believe Dan can help him right now.
The NFL Hall of Famer. Give the ball to Dan.
Not unless he's got a big boot that he could use and put a little fire in these fellas.
This stadium is on the boulevard that bears his name. And all the success that he has had here in the wonderful Sunday afternoons. For so long he entertained South Florida with just magic. Swung on and missed by Thompson. Down he goes on strikes. 2 down. Let's go back to the studio and David Ember.
Alongside John Kruk, you mentioned the Mets and Phillies. Bobby Abreu, a little insurance in the 9th.
Well, after hitting 4 home runs, I'm pretty sure that Bobby's going to take some ribbon for only hitting a measly little double.
Now, Pedro gives up 4 home runs. Just the 2nd time in his career he's done that, and no surprise, the Phillies win this one 8-2. Let's send it back to you.
All right, guys, David Eckstein to get in with runners in 2nd and 3rd. The Cardinals bidding for more. They're already up 8-0 here, and Eckstein's been a part of it with a solo homer and a single. He's gone 2 for 4 in front of 20,449. Those are the human beings, and some 687 dogs on Take Your Dog to the Park night.
And a lot of this offensive outburst by the St. Louis Cardinals is not a 15-yard penalty for piling on. It's just the fact that every one of these hitters comes to the plate not giving up an AB.
And another hit, 1 run in. Here comes Luna, and the throw will not get him. Eckstein takes off and slides into 2nd. He drives in 2 to make it 10-0. You may be right. Maybe even Marino couldn't save them now.
St. Louis Cardinals only know how to play the game one way: full speed or no speed. And I think a lot of that comes from their leadership out of the man that's standing on deck, and that's Albert Pujols. And as I was saying, they don't give up any ABs regardless of the score. This club, when they come to the plate, they are challenging the pitcher that's on the mound, and when they're in the outfield, they're trying to make all of the plays regardless of what the score is. I think that's how you put yourself together, a playoff team that can go deep into the playoffs.
Taguchi knocks one the other way, and Encarnacion will track it down and make the catch. Side retired, but another big inning for St. Louis. The Cardinals hang up 3 more, and they lead it 10-0 in Miami. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Jeff Brantley, Dave O'Brien with him, along nearly 700 dogs tonight at Dolphin Stadium as Mike Lowell leads off the inning. Bottom of the 7th. Mike is 0 for 2. He has flied out on each occasion. Alex Gonzalez and Matt Trainer scheduled to hit after him. And we'll see if Jack McKeon goes to the bench a little bit at this point. His team down into double figures.
Now, if this is bring your dog to the park night or whatever they call it here, do you have to pay for a ticket for your dog?
It's a good question. I think the answer is no. But you do have to provide your own biscuits. And I think some method of cleaning up after your
own scooper.
I guess so. I don't think the rules are very stringent. this photo would tend to, I think, prove. Sharing peanuts.
What if you have a little schnauzer next to a pit bull, and you paid for your ticket, and you happen to go up to get some peanuts, and you come back and your schnauzer's gone?
You know, you're asking me questions about a subject I barely care about. And I'm not even going to pretend that I'm interested. The 3-2 is high on my goal.
So what do you want me to just be quiet?
If you would, just for a second. You can speak, but it doesn't have to be about dogs. Major League Baseball Boys and Girls Clubs of America and Cure Search Childhood Cancer Foundation have teamed up for the 2005 Commissioners Initiative for Kids. That's courtesy of AmeriQuest. Visit MLB.com for details. Alex Gonzalez here. He has struck out and taken a walk. 10-0 St. Louis.
$6 for your dog to come here. Benefits the Humane Society. How about that?
Now, if you knew that, why were you asking me?
I didn't know that. I just received that information from a very good friend of mine. It obviously wasn't from you, because you wanted me to be quiet.
Well, yeah, I mean, you put it that way, it makes me sound rather mean-spirited. Ground ball deep short. Oh, that gets under the glove of Eckstein. And it's a base hit for Gonzalez. Just the 5th Marlin hit tonight. 10-0,
and Eckstein still diving after the ball. Shows you the effort and the character that sits behind these St. Louis Cardinals.
He's had a very fine night at the plate as well, with 3 hits and 3 RBIs, including a homer and 1 filthy uniform.
And nobody wants to dive on that diamond drive. That's like diving on a street of pebbles.
You were talking about leadership, and certainly Pujols brings a huge chunk of that. His bat brings so much credibility, his overall demeanor and the way he carries himself. He's a true superstar and really is on and off the field. And that's not just a silly cliche. That's the truth about Albert Pujols. But it also is about Eckstein, too. He has a tremendous leadership talent, too.
And I think that there are many on this club, and I think throughout baseball, that once you see him play, and you see the effort that he puts in, not only to preparing for the ball game, but also the effort that he puts on the field, every at bat that he comes and gives you everything he's got at home plate, it makes you want to be, or want to give, the same type of effort that you see out of David Eckstein, because you know beyond a shadow of a doubt he's going to get everything that he can possibly get out of himself each and every night.
It tells you everything you need to know about Eckstein, that he replaced a very popular shortstop in Edgar Renteria, who went to the Red Sox. And in no time, Eckstein was every bit, if not more popular. That one dropped by Grzelcyk though on a flip. And the Marlins are going to have the bases loaded here. Everybody's safe. And it is 10-0 St. Louis, with the Marlins trying to break through.
Grzelcyk looked like he tried to catch that bare hand and turn at the same time. Took his eye off the ball just barely. Nice play by Eckstein, and then the flip. You can see Grzelcyk take his eye off the ball just for a split second as he starts to turn just a little bit too early.
So on the error, the bases are going to be loaded up with nobody out. And the Marlins will go to the bench, and they're also going to bring on the right-hander Jeremy Hermida when it's his turn to pitch. The 21-year-old, they just called him up today. He was the Marlins' first-round selection in the 2002 June draft. And here comes Al Reyes out of the bullpen, as we will take a break and return to South Florida. But the Marlins trying to get on the scoreboard, trailing St. Louis 10-0. Back here in South Florida, with the Cardinals leading 10-0 over the Marlins. They've out hit them 15-5. Bottom of the 7th. Marlins trying to get on the board here against Al Reyes, who comes out of the Cardinal bullpen. And he'll be facing the Marlins' top prospect, about to make his major league debut here. First, the numbers on Reyes: 53 appearances and a nifty 2.31 ERA. Jeremy Hermida just called up from the minor leagues. He is 21 years old and up there on the left side with good power. At Carolina, hit .293 with 18 home runs and swings right through the first big league pitch he sees for strike one.
Well, the key with Reyes, and you saw it in that second to last number there, 15 walks. And when you're pitching in this Cardinal bullpen, if you walk guys, you're not going to be pitching in the Cardinal bullpen.
The young outfielder at the bat for the first time in the majors, and here's the 0-1. That is over but low for a ball. Now recently, just a couple of weeks ago, Mike Jacobs of the New York Mets made his major league debut, an all-time memorable one, by cracking a home run with a bat that he borrowed from teammate Cliff Floyd in his first major league AB.
Pretty good guy to borrow one from.
Not too shabby. The 1-1 pitch. Swing and a drive, right field deep. Luna back. Are you kidding? That's gone. A grand slam. Jeremy Hermida, welcome to the big leagues. You have got to be kidding me. His first major league at bat and a grand slam for Jeremy Hermida.
Now, if that doesn't add some life to this dugout and this crowd and this team, I don't know what will. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know whose bat it was, if it was one of his or a teammate's, but it's somewhere in the record books now.
Well,
Cabrera hit one in his first major league game, but Hermida just topped that in his first major league at bat.
whose ever bat it was, it'll be on the mantle somewhere before too long.
Juan Pierre will fly to right field, but Luna will make the catch on this one for the out. Boy, that is an all-time special moment. Forget about the score. Take a look.
I tell you what, Dave, I think he knew it was out of here as soon as he made contact. Wow. Does it get any better than that? Woo.
Well, the Marlins still need 6 to tie, but he could care less. Jeremy Hermida, 21 years old. This year, he was named the MVP of the 2005 Southern League All-Star game. He went 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs in that game. A little floater down the left field line, but it'll fall foul off the bat of Castillo. His first major league at bat, he hits a grand slam against the St. Louis Cardinals here at Dolphin Stadium in Miami.
That's one of those times where Mom and Dad are gathered around the TV if they're not here at the ballpark, and they're saying, "Come on, everybody, he's coming to the plate." And then that happens.
And then he's leaving the yard.
Wow.
2 men out. It just goes to show you that the old baseball axiom that you can come to the ballpark on any given night and see something you have never seen before. And regardless of the score, I mean, this game a runaway, the Cardinals with a big 10-0 lead, and the Marlins bring their top prospect up on a wet and rainy night in a game that has long since escaped them. And Jeremy Hermida not only hits a home run in his first major league at bat, but he picks up 4 RBIs on 1 swing.
Those are the kind of moments when you're 8 and 9 years old, throwing the tennis ball up against a side of the house that you think, here comes Jeremy Hermida up to the plate, and it's grand slam. You just can't even write it up any better than what we just saw.
Just remarkable stuff. That may have launched a brilliant major league career. Check back in about 18 years, but what a way to start. Game televised all throughout America. So everybody he has ever met, everyone that Jeremy Hermida has ever seen on a pitcher's mound who has thrown a fastball to him, any teammate he's ever played with in Little League and high school, had the opportunity to see him do that this evening on the last day of August 2005.
And when they call, they're going to get the message, mailbox is full.
As were the bases when he hit it out. A high pop-up by Cabrera into right. And Luna will squeeze it. Wow. That ends the inning. But we just saw the career get underway of Jeremy Hermida with a grand slam in his first big league at-bat. What a moment. Top of the 8th inning, St. Louis with a 10-4 lead, but that story is really an afterthought. What's up there on the scoreboard here on Wednesday Night Baseball, as Albert Pujols will lead things off in the inning against Randy Messenger, making his 17th appearance for Jack McKeon. Albert tonight with 3 hits, all for extra bases. Meanwhile, in left field, Jeremy Hermida may have taken up residence out there physically, but his feet are not on the ground. He hit his first major league home run, and he made it a grand slam in his major league debut here tonight. That's an extraordinary event.
I guarantee you his heart is beating so fast, I think his jersey's moving.
Wow. 21 years old, and cut on a mess there by Pujols, and he's down on strikes. So Messenger blows it right by him for the first out here in the 8th inning. A rare night for Albert Pujols. 2 strikeouts in the same game, although he's also doubled twice and tripled, so he's done plenty of damage. Damian Easley also into the ball game at shortstop. And as mentioned, Hermida in left. Here's Yadier Molina putting it in play. A bounding ball to Easley. And across for the out. Time for a studio update. Let's go to David Amber. David?
We got some drama. Tigers, Indians, Fernando Rodney looking for the save. Tying run at third. 9th inning, Ben Broussard. Can he bring him home? No. Easy ground ball. 4-3.
Indians, they lose hockey into the entry. Tough loss for Cleveland in this situation.
Yeah, big loss. We'll get you back now.
Here in South Florida, 10-4 St. Louis. As Grunzelanek hits and takes a strike. He's gone 1 for 4 with a 7th inning single.
This is another one of those young phenoms that has come out of the Florida system. 96-mile-an-hour fastball, 91-mile-an-hour slider. We just saw him absolutely blow away Albert Pujols on 3 straight pitches. He's about to do the same here to Grunzelanek.
The 0-2 fouled straight back by Grunzelanek, and that fastball 97 on the radar gun. He's come out throwing nothing but strikes. You're right, JB, and he's thrown 7 pitches all in the zone.
That's what you'd like to see from Messenger, regardless of what the score is, whether they're behind or a closer ball game, but that hasn't always been the case for him.
He has the look, the countenance of a future closer. Obviously, he's got the fastball, but he tugs that cap way down over the eyes so that as a hitter, you can barely see those eyes. That can be a little unnerving for a guy who throws almost 100.
He's definitely getting it up there. I can remember Mike Jackson played with me in San Francisco and also played quite a few years in the big leagues, most notably in Cleveland.
Encarnacion with a catch, and 1-2-3 they go for the St. Louis Cardinals. That's the first time since the 2nd inning they've been retired in order. Bottom of the 8th inning, St. Louis up 10-4 over the Marlins. Wednesday Night Baseball built by the Home Depot. This is a night, however, on a scoreboard it might belong to the Cardinals, but in anyone's hearts who watched it, it belongs to that young man, Jeremy Hermida. How about this? He becomes the 2nd player in Major League history to hit a grand slam in his first Major League at bat. You have to go back 107 years, folks. Wow. to Bill Duggleby of Philadelphia. He was a pitcher, by the way. In 1898, the last time until tonight that someone hit a grand slam in their first major league at bat. Now, some out there might be saying, wait a minute, Bobby Bonds hit a grand slam in his first major league game. And you are correct, but it was not in his first major league at bat. It was in his third in his first game. Big swing and a miss there by Delgado. So in what may turn out to be an otherwise meaningless Wednesday night game, the very last day of August in 2005, you have seen something that has not been accomplished in modern major league history. Someone hitting a grand slam in their first at bat.
Well, somewhere along the line, this game is going to have some meaning for these Florida Marlins, because if they go on like they are right now, they're not going to win, and they are not going to hold a share of that wild card as we end tonight.
And Philadelphia knocked Pedro Martinez around tonight, 8-2, a final as they beat the Mets. And so the Phillies are looking to take a one-game lead in the wild card race to get that lead back for themselves. That is in for a strike on Delgado, 3-2.
There are some things that you just never get used to, regardless of how long you play the game. And you see a kid come to the plate and hit a grand slam in his first AB. That just, I don't even know how to describe that. That is unbelievable.
Jeremy Hermida, the third pitch that he looked at, our Wheaties winning moment. And nothing cheap about it either. A screaming line drive. It's 345 down the right field line here in South Florida. He got all of it and writes his name into the history books. The only downside, not that I'm looking for a silver gray lining and a very great night for him, but you know, there weren't that many people here tonight, and he did not get a curtain call. He didn't get the opportunity to come to the top step in front of 50,000 people. That one rocketed into left field, a rising line drive, and that gets over the wall for a home run. A shot by Juan Encarnacion. His 16th home run of the season. It comes with one down here in the 8th. And the Marlins have pulled to within 5 of the Cardinals.
Well, you can be assured, had this ball game been played in St. Louis, because of the class of fans that are in St. Louis, they would have given the young man, even in the opposition, as the opposition, a standing ovation for that type of accomplishment.
Now this one got out fast.
Well, I think that Mr. Encarnacion was tired of facing Suppan. I think he's glad he was out of the game.
Well, they went 0 for 3 against him and came into the night, 2 for 22 off him. There's a swing and a fly to right field off the bat of Mike Lowell and right into the glove of Luna. Let's go back to the studio for an update, and David Amber. David.
All right, guys, Reds and Astros, 8 different Stros with at least 1 hit in this one, including Willie Tavares, who's had 2 hits, including this RBI single that cashes in Chris Burke. The Astros started the day a half game out, and right now they're beating the Reds 6-0 in that one. Meanwhile, Nationals trying to split the double dip with the Braves. They lead 3-2. Livan Hernandez still in this game. They're into the bottom of the 8th. Let's send it back to you.
Swinging a high fly ball deep left field by Alex Gonzalez, backing up Mabry, and that one is going to be high off the wall, off the American League scoreboard. Nearly the 3rd home run in the last 2 innings by the Marlins. So Damian Easley has himself a double, and that'll put a man in scoring position here with 2 down. Easily on with 2 men out. Here's the catcher Trainer, 0 for 3 tonight. Jeff Suppan should get the win. At one point this thing was 10-0 St. Louis. He was around for 5 innings, came back after the rain delay to pitch that final half inning and qualify for the win. Jason Vargas also pitched 5 innings for the Marlins tonight, but the young left-hander did not have it. He gave up 7 runs on 10 hits. Down into the dirt, stopped by Molina. Both catchers, and they're both there at the batting circle right now, have gone all the way tonight. And there's the man of the hour, the man of the night. That is Jeremy Hermida. And if you were not with us last inning, we're sorry for that, because you missed an amazing moment. In his first big league at bat, in his major league debut, he had a grand slam. The first man in 107 years to do that in Major League Baseball.
That's one of those moments that they never happen. As shown by the graphic there, modern day baseball never. What'd you say, 107 years?
107 years, 1898. Bill Duggleby did it.
And he was a pitcher.
Wow. I would argue that those moments happen all the time, constantly, when you're like 8 or 9 years old after lights out. But
yeah,
they never happen in a real
dreams.
game.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it certainly did tonight. Outside for ball 4.
Well, he's got another chance to put him right back in this thing with a couple of swings with a bat. Oh, my goodness. Big comeback for the Marlins last night. And even bigger if they pull the rabbit out of the hat tonight.
Well, this just can't happen, can it? I mean, Hermida's coming up again for the second time in 2 innings. Here comes La Russa.
If he does it this time, he's going to have to do it against the lefty specialist Ray King, because Tony has called for him. Come into the ball game.
The lefty King ready to come on to face Hermida. La Russa making the pitching change in the 8th, and we're back in a moment. Marlins thinking they're creeping back in this thing. 2 down in the 8th inning. They have a couple of men on. It will not be Jeremy Hermida to face King. Instead, it's going to be Jeff Conine to take on the portly left-hander with a 3.06 ERA. But he's the guy that the Marlins rallied against last night.
Well, I can imagine only one thing on Jeff Conine's mind at this point, and that's a 3-run home run over that short left field porch right down the line.
And our stats ace Marty Aronoff was compiling all sorts of information about what a big league player did after hitting a grand slam in his first at bat, what he did in the second at bat, and all of that work, it goes for naught. But Conine steps in here with a hot bat, 2 men on and 2 men out. 10-5 St. Louis as he takes a ball. So Hermida goes to the bench after his glorious moment here tonight. And Conine, the veteran, hitting .308 with a pair of home runs, 24 runs batted in. Jeff Conine was playing on this very diamond way back in 1993 when the Marlins played their very first game against the Los Angeles Dodgers, the first game in team history, and he had 4 hits that day and became an instant sensation.
He was Conine the Barbarian back then.
Isringhausen loosening up. And Jeff Conine has been Mr. Marlin ever since. A vastly popular player for this organization, even though he's left and come back. He's been part of both World Series in '97 and again in 2003.
With Isringhausen up in the Cardinal bullpen, this tells you exactly what Tony La Russa fears the most right now, and that is to allow another devastating comeback by the Florida Marlins. The last thing that you want to have at this moment, regardless of how many games you're up in the Central, is the fact that your club blew a 10-run lead. You do not want that on anybody's mind in any way, shape, or form.
Well, they blew a lead yesterday, and now the Marlins thinking we're going to turn that trick again. On the outside corner, Conine not happy with the call from Alfonso Marquez. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Easily and Trainer aboard here with 2 down, and a 1-2 from the lefty. Outside that time, and that one King wanted.
That was close.
So on the previous pitch, Conine was unhappy. On this one, the pitcher was unhappy.
Just outside. It's amazing how much better call you can make when they slow it down real slow like that.
We're all good then. 3-2. Well, if he misses again, the bases are going to be loaded.
Well, these are big runs right here for the Florida Marlins, because they're going to turn the lineup over as soon as Pierre steps to home plate. If they can get a couple right here and go to the 9th, only having to get 2 or 3 runs, they may have a chance with the big boppers coming up.
Swing and a miss, and Conine strikes out. Well, you didn't think you'd hear it when it was 10-0 St. Louis, but that was a big strikeout in tonight's game for a Cardinal pitcher. 10-5 St. Louis at the end of the 9th inning, but it certainly has tightened up, hasn't it? Thanks to the heroics of one Jeremy Hermida and a grand slam. Jeff Conine takes over for Hermida in left. That's where Cabrera started the game, so he becomes the 3rd left fielder for the Marlins. And a recently acquired Ron Ballone to do the pitching here, as you see his split numbers between Seattle and Florida. Facing John Mabry on to the 9th. 10 runs on 15 hits, 2 errors for St. Louis. They had a 10-0 lead at one point in this game. And for the Marlins, 5 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. But of those 8 hits, 1 a grand slam. And Jeremy Hermida's first major league at bat, as he matches the great Bill Duggleby, who 107 years ago also hit a grand slam in his first major league at bat. Frosty Bill Duggleby, that was his nickname. And he only hit 6 home runs in his major league career, although he was a 20-game winner as a pitcher a couple of years after he achieved that feat. Frosty Bill turned out to be not the home run hitter that Jeremy Hermida probably will be.
Ron Vallone on the mound for the Marlins. Not usually a guy that you see throw from the side, but in his warm-ups, a couple of pitches that he threw from down Laredo.
Conine racing into the corner, reaches and makes the catch in fair territory. 1 down, top of the 9th. Time for a 30 at 30 update with David Amber. David.
All right, some big stories we are continuing to keep an eye on, including the effects of Hurricane Katrina being felt still across Louisiana. Thousands evacuated from a leaky Superdome. They're heading to the Astrodome. The Saints are going to practice in San Antonio following tomorrow's game. As well, the rich get richer. Michael Finley, the free agent, signing with the Champs from San Antonio. Of course, you can catch all these stories on SportsCenter, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Back to Dave and Jeff.
David, thank you very much. At the bat, Hector Lunas. Night started with a strikeout. Since then, a triple, a 2-run homer, and an RBI double. If he singles here, he hits for the cycle. On the same night, we have seen someone hit a grand slam in his first major league at bat.
And I would have to believe that the easiest hit to get out of all of those, it's got to be the single.
They want to drop down a bunt here.
Oh, come on now.
Hector Luna. I mean,
You're
just drop one down.
You get somebody killed if he dropped down a bunt right here.
Mike Lowell backed up way behind third base. Be the perfect time to do it, wouldn't it? Now, Grudzielanek has done it.
Nunez probably wouldn't like it very much.
Grudzielanek has hit for the cycle this season. And Luna's trying to match him here on Wednesday Night Baseball in South Florida. Here's the 1-2. Up the middle, softly hit, easily gathers and gets it. So unless he has another at bat, the bid for the cycle ends right there for Hector Luna. 3 for 5, pretty good night. 3 RBIs, including a homer and 3 runs.
This goes back to showing what can be done if bench players have an opportunity to play with some consistent ABs. And Nunez has been probably the biggest surprise for Tony La Russa, taking over for Scott Rowland, who is now out for the season with that left shoulder injury.
Nunez with a big swing and a miss. He's gone 1 for 4 tonight with an RBI single. 10-5 St. Louis. They had a lead of 2-0, 3-0. Then it was 7-0 after a 4-run fifth. Added 3 more in the 7th inning. and seem to be putting it into cruise control. The Marlins have rallied here in the late innings. They got 4 back on 1 swing, then added another in the 8th inning. Had a chance with Conine up and 2 men on in the bottom of the 8th to add to that, but he struck out. Flick foul on a play to the right.
There's another note that goes with Abraham Nunez, is that the Cardinals have got to have somebody that they feel confident enough, if something does happen to Nunez during the playoff picture, at this point they really don't have a legitimate backup for the backup.
Little topper. Lowell cuts it off in front of the shortstop and gets it over plenty of time. One of the few times tonight the Cardinals go in order. We'll see if the Marlins have 5 runs in them. They need 5 to tie. David, that's what our score was at one point tonight, 10-0, now 10-5, as the Marlins are trying to get all the way back in it. Jeremy Hermida, the gentleman to the left right next to Jeff Conine, 21 years old, Marlins first round pick in 2002, made his major league debut tonight, his first at bat, the 3rd pitch he got in the big leagues. He sent over the right field fence a screaming line drive for a grand slam. First man in the modern era to do this.
And you see that first step, he knows that thing is out of here, and I think he realizes after his first 2 steps, hey, this is the big leagues, I better run. Wow.
Pierre puts this one in play, a fly to left center, and Taguchi makes the catch for the out.
Picture perfect moment for any youngster or anybody. You get your first time in the big leagues and you hit a grand slam in your first debut, even hitting a home run or getting a hit.
Well, he actually got here yesterday from Jacksonville, where his Double-A team was playing, and he was getting his wrist checked out by the Marlins.
I guess it's pretty good.
Apparently that bruise is just fine. He was actually sitting in the stands watching yesterday's game and watching the Marlins rally. So he goes from the 5th row into the history books in the span of 24 hours. We have another pitching change as Tony La Russa has gone to the bullpen. He's going to bring on Isringhausen. We return to South Florida in just a moment. Cardinals with a 10-5 lead here, trying to get the last couple of outs and knock off the Marlins, who are right there in the thick of the wild card race. Philadelphia defeated the Mets 8-2, so they break the wild card tie, at least for the moment, pending the outcome of this one. Isringhausen coming on as La Russa elects to make the pitching change despite the 5-run lead. Castillo steps in and he takes a strike.
I think part of the reason that Isringhausen is in this ball game is to continue to give him regular work throughout the month of September, so he keeps himself sharp going into the postseason. The last thing that you want is any of your pitchers to get overworked or underworked. You want to try to, especially your #1 guys, you want to make sure that they are ready to go.
Castillo hitting .298. A quiet night at the bat. He is 0 for 4. He has not hit the ball out of the infield. St. Louis with a big lead in the hit category. They've out hit Florida 15-8. But the hit everybody will remember, Jeff Randley, you and I included, will be the one off the bat of Jeremy Hermida, as he homered in his first major league at bat, a grand slam. He's only the 2nd Marlin to hit a home run in his first AB. Mitch Leiden did it in June of 1993. A little squibber but foul by Castillo. That was in the Marlins' very first season. So 2 players have hit home runs in their first 2 major league at bats, and that may have to wait to be equal, but we'll see. Hermida got 1 at bat before he was lifted. Fouled away by Castillo off his own foot.
You can see Isringhausen just pounding him inside. I think if you're Castillo, the last thing that you want to do is to hit a 4th ball to Albert Pujols at first base and go 0 for 5. A little rough on your average when you come into September.
Sure. 1 out, bases clean. Slice foul on a play by Castillo.
This is the batter that I didn't like to face much in the last inning. Really fouls off a lot of pitches. You like to pitch him inside, try to make him pop the ball up into left field because he's really just trying to cut it. He can flat foul some pitches off.
Lets that one go. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We have had a rain delay tonight of 35 minutes. We've had a drop of rain since then. That was in the 5th inning. At a time when the Cardinals had a 7-0 lead. They would expand it to 10-0. But that's really where the fun started. That's when the history was made. After that, the Marlins started a rally and got the grand slam from Hermida. The 3-2 on the infield dribble toward the second baseman Brunzelenik, and they're 2 down. Another update. We go back to the studio and David Amber. David.
Nationals pulling out all the stops. They try and split the double dip with the Braves. 9th inning tied at 3. Brad Wilkerson stealing 3rd, and Brian McCann, the rookie, throws it away. Wilkerson scores. Washington now holding a 4-3 lead in the 9th.
Chris Aguila will come up and swing here with the bases empty and 2 down as McKeon goes to his bench. He does have Carlos Delgado in the on deck area. Aguila at .210, no homers, a couple of RBIs as a pinch hitter. He is 2 for 17. He looks at a strike.
You watch Aguila take BP, and for a short, stocky outfielder, this guy can hit the ball a long way. He's just another one of those young players for the Florida Marlins that you know somewhere down the line he's going to get an opportunity to play every day at the big league level and put up the kind of numbers that he was able to put up throughout his minor league career.
Rounds this one under the glove of Nunez. It'll roll into left field. Eckstein giving chase and heading into second. Aguila, he'll stop right there. So the Marlins still have a heartbeat with 2 down in the 9th. Nunez with the mistake over there at third base. Now, to be fair, we did have a rain delay earlier tonight, and they put all sorts of diamond dry around third base and all the bases. That could have contributed to this. But it caught a lot of leather.
Looked like he just didn't quite get his feet set. Moving towards second base instead of towards the ball. The ball catches just the side of his glove and kicks off down the left field line.
Here's Delgado in search of his first hit. 0 for 3. He's also taken a walk, and he looks at a strike. Baseball tonight coming your way next. Get caught up on the wild card races in the American and National Leagues. Phillies a winner over the Mets. So if the Cardinals get one more out, the Marlins lose here. Philadelphia will bust that tie with the Marlins for the wild card lead and take a 1-game advantage in the wild card race. Phillies got to Pedro Martinez tonight for 4 home runs.
And also, because of the score in Houston, it will actually put Houston ahead of Florida also. Seems like every night there is going to be movement in that wild card one way or the other.
Inside. 2 down here, runner at second. Marlins still with a little bit of a life here in the bottom of the 9th inning, but they got into a big hole in this one. Foul tip to the mid, and the count 2-2. So Florida down to the final strike perhaps here.
With a day off tomorrow for the St. Louis Cardinals, this is the time that you have to get Isringhausen into the ball game. Make sure he gets his work in, and he does.
Swing and a miss for strike 3, and that'll do it. St. Louis puts the finishing touches on a win here tonight, 10-5. Baseball Tonight, presented by L'Oreal Men's Expert, comes your way next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. The final score, the Cardinals 10, the Marlins 5. For Jeff Brantley, this is Dave O'Brien. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night, everybody. Baseball Tonight next.